I feel like James is Conan. I'm the guy who's like, yeah, isn't that funny? Isn't that great?
That's so true.
Oh, man.
It's like welcome to my hosting show. Formal, cross-legged, hippy-dippy. So you guys, you don't podcast together, but
we have met.
You're a couple. You're a couple together.
Fred's like the A-list Hollywood guy, and I'm the Lee Mack on a new comedy tour, just being generous on the sofa.
Yeah, you may not remember me, but I saw you at the
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Pulp Kitchen with myself, George Pundek.
Hello.
And none other, oft-mentioned friend of the show, Fred Asquith. How you doing, Fred? This is not your first time on a mainline episode of Pulp Kitchen.
Correct.
It is the first time all three of us have officially podcasted
been
together.
in the same room.
I've
never at the same
met
screening.
you. It's all it's really good to see you. For anyone who doesn't know you, Fred, just in case this is the first episode they're watching of yours, just explain who you are and what you do.
I'm Fred Asquith. I do comedy content with my wife where I go, darling, do you do basket? And I do also do a film podcast called Fred Asquith on Film that I started last year, and post reviews and news and premieres and things.
I met you first at a screening for Apple TV Plus sensation masterpiece, Wolves.
Yeah, that's where I met you both first time. Yeah.
Did you meet George that night?
I was there.
Oh, you were there.
I was literally there covered in rain.
I forgot. You were late. That's why.
This is Pulp Kitchen, and George is also here.
You were there. You turned up something well.
And looking back, thank you for coming up to me there. You actually sort of accosted me in the foyer.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing that.
George genuinely were both fans of your content. It was
really nice.
Your stuff to us, and I just like, oh yeah, I should say hi. And Dina, your wife Dina, was there.
Yeah,
and it's just nice nice to meet you both. But amazing. And today, what are we going to do, George? Do you want to run us through what we're doing today?
Today we are going to be talking. Given that it is award season, given that it is Oscar season, and we are 25 plus years now into the decade, we're going to be looking back at all the best picture Oscar winners from the past 25 years. That is the year 2000 to 2025, which is actually 26 films in total. So what we're going to do, we're going to run through the films. I'm going to run through the list in a second, and we're just to familiarize you guys on what the list is, and then we'll run through it as a group, sort of giving our comments and thoughts on it, and just sort of cover what has been 26 years of amazing film awarding or not amazing awarding.
Yeah. That usually not amazing. Yeah.
You disagree with the Oscars then in general?
Mostly, I would say. Yeah, we'll get into it.
So guys, today we are going to be talking about the past 25 years of Oscar winners. Given that it is award season, that it is Oscar season, we're going to be running through the list of best picture winners from the year 2000 to 2025.
So we're actually, 2000, we called it the 21st century best picture, right?
Yes.
And 2000 is technically not the 21st century, but I was on the phone with George and he earnestly told me, Fred, it's okay. Let's just include 2000.
Yeah.
And we're going to work out the best picture, run through the years, have our general thoughts, and then reveal to each other what we consider.
On that point, it's like when people say that a week begins on a Sunday, technically. And I'm like, but for everyone, it begins on a Monday. So like 2000, we can lump it in with the 21st century.
Were you aware of the quirk of the 21st century thing?
That technically 2000 is not. Yeah, I remember when it was 2010, and people were like, it's a new decade, and lots of people were like, actually, I think you'll find that 2010 is part of the noughties, because if you were to count 10 things, 0 has no value, 1 does.
It's one of those things, like it's technically correct that it's that 2000 is the 20th century.
Yes. Yeah.
But it shouldn't be that way. Like it doesn't actually logically make sense the way.
And it happened again in 2020. The other things were happening. It happened again in 2020, and in 2030s it will happen again, where people will go, "Oh, it's a new decade."
It'll likely happen every decade.
Yeah,
forever.
It's because of the numbers thing.
Yeah, it's because of the numbers.
It's a new number.
It's the number thing.
So I'm going to read through all 26 films just quickly to familiarize you guys, the audience, of what films are coming up, and then we'll go back and we'll just go through them and give our comments on that.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about Gladiator, A Beautiful Mind, Chicago, The Return of the King, $1 Million Baby, Crash, The Departed, No Country for Old Men, Slumdog Millionaire, The Hurt Locker, The King's Speech, The Artist, Argo, 12 Years a Slave, Birdman, Spotlight, Moonlight, The Shape of Water, Green Book, Parasite, Nomadland, Coda, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Oppenheimer, and Anora.
Passes out. Doesn't say anything else in the rest of the podcast.
26 films in under 60 seconds. So
all the best picture winners of the 21st century, just to be clear.
Should we kick off and go right back to the year 2000?
Let's have a run through. Yeah, let's have some thoughts on each one, shall we?
Boom.
Can I? Sorry, actually, can I ask you a generalized question? Looking at that, or we could do this after we run through. What are your thoughts on the sort of evolution of the winner of Best Picture, and like who the Oscars have been awarding that to? Should we go through the list and then talk about that?
I can give you a quick take on that.
Yeah,
right?
I'd like
my
a quick
quick take is that, like, I think when we were growing up, and a lot of those films, like in the noughties that we're going to talk about, the idea of what a Best Picture winner was like the sincere, dramatic, Academy Award winner, and it was usually historical drama. It became a bit of a cliche. I think there's like a joke about it in Extras, but I think where we are now, speaking 2026, the kind of films that are winning Oscar Best Picture winners are not the kind of films that used to win. So things like Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Things like even Parasite, like
Nomadland.
Mm.
Things are. It's almost like they deliberately like something different, which is good.
I'd say like from 2015, where you get to Spotlight and you run through, the exception I think of being Oppenheimer, the films I'd say are a lot smaller in scale in terms of like expectation, maybe budget, prestige. But if I go, so it's Spotlight, Moonlight, The Shape of Water, Green Book, Parasite, Nomadland, Coda, Everything Everywhere. Oppenheimer, I think, being the exception. And Anora, again, I think falling into that. Versus if you look at the first half, it's filled like The Hurt Locker, Slumdog, No Country, The Departed, just Lord of the Rings, bigger. I don't know, like the exactly as you said, what we were expecting to be a Best Picture winner, what I think people valued in a Best Picture winner. Really changed.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've actually written down what I consider to be some quite distinct eras, right? I think like we've got sort of the studio era is ending, I think, at the start of the 21st century. That era of like, hey, let's award like Titanic, things like that. We've got that with Chicago, Lord of the Rings, Gladiator. I think that's like studio era. And then I think they're sort of trying to award, or sort of trying to subvert themselves, be a bit more indie oriented, or what they would consider indie, with like $1 Million Baby, Crash, even No Country for Old Men, sort of like lo-fi. That's sort of 05 to 09. And then I've got 2010 to 2019, I've called the identity crisis. So this is where they actually don't know. They're like, are we like celebrating Hollywood with like Artist and Argo? Or are we celebrating like really quirky things with Birdman? Or are we like virtue signaling with Green Book? Like they don't actually know what they're doing. And then 2017 to present, what you're saying, James, I call the underdog era, which is like Moonlight sets the tone for like, hey, that takes it away from La La Land.
And crucially, the mistake is what really set the tone. No, La La Land, you would have won in 2004.
And now, so then we got, like I said, Parasite, Nomadland, and Oppenheimer is almost like back to that Gladiator era of like, we give it to the biggest one. We give, not the biggest and the best.
The high-profile historical biopic with a huge director and a massive A-list cast. I say like Cillian Murphy now would be considered A-list, but like before that, I would say he was like in that emerging supporting actor role, which is, and he's now graduated into that. But it's not like you had Matt Damon in it. You had every actor knocking around.
It was,
I like that categorization, Fred.
Thank you,
That's
man.
really good.
George will hold on to that. And
I
use
will.
that
And now for episodes to come, I'll go. And of course, that's what Fred Asquith, friend of the show, says. Are the eras.
That's the,
and
we're in the identity crisis.
We'll find a way to sort of link it to food, and that'll just be how we do things, right?
Right. So first off, Gladiator 2000.
Yeah, I think, as you kind of said, big, glorious kind of epic. I mean, like historical epics, sword and sandals epics, were like our time in memoriam in Hollywood. They just come up every so often. They're like an unkillable genre. They wax and wane, but they're always there. I think it's worth saying that Braveheart, which won, I think, like 95, 96, that really brought the idea of like swords and sword wielding back to the front, paved the way for Gladiator to win. And then after Gladiator, you get the kind of really big things of like
Kingdom of Heaven,
Troy. 300, Troy, historical epics trying
back.
to chase that high. Also, Lord of the Rings helping that as well. But a great big massive film that had a terrible sequel.
Gladiator also probably one of the most popular films in this list, I'd say, in terms of like the hearts and minds of the average film consumer over the last 20 years, 25 years.
True as like a film bros.
I've always said it's the DVD everyone has. It's the film that everyone like was rewatching in the noughties and be like, oh, it's such a masterpiece, and the performances, and like I think that will go down as one of the people's choice.
I have a side quest for today is to determine which of the Best Picture winners is the most likely to find in CEX.
And
I don't think Gladiator is actually, because I think people keep that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
I
Yeah,
just
do you like Gladiator? I know, like the
love
sequel kind of like
Gladiator.
changes that because you revisit it in a different way. But
Well,
we
did it
all
change
agree.
things-
Sorry, 2 was rubbish.
Two was
We
bad.
were all there, the three
We
of
were
us.
all there.
We were
Yeah.
all there. Yeah, worst seat of my life. 2 was bad. I haven't rewatched it. Has anyone rewatched 2?
No,
I
I
don't
don't think I
I don't
would.
think Ridley
It was-
Scott has.
It says someone edited it. He didn't even edit it.
He's like, it's good to go.
Yeah, nice. No, I love the first Gladiator, and 2 didn't actually, thankfully, taint that for me. I would put first Gladiator solidly in my top 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I rate it, I like
Yeah.
it. I think it's a solid, great picture. And as you say, very, very popular and very well liked,
Nice.
I really liked it and would have championed it more in 2007. But now I'm kind of like, it was a 2000 film.
Yeah, right.
They've touched it by going back. That changes the way I look at it.
I don't know when the right time to do this. Just along the way, I just want to note a few things that were missing from certain years. Castaway should have had a Best Picture nomination that year.
nice, yeah.
There was no nomination for. It was Chocolat, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Erin Brockovich, and Traffic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not
We were
really
talking about Castaway the other day.
Romantic
on the
movie.
rom-com.
Yeah.
Great movie. What have we got next? We've got. Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say.
I don't want to steamroll this whole thing.
Steer away.
Please,
No,
you
I
go.
prefer one
Please,
that I
please,
I love
please.
it.
Take it away.
We've got
Take it away.
We'll react. You listed off.
2001, A Beautiful Mind.
So this is one I haven't seen.
Ditto.
The Double Russell.
Oh, both of you haven't seen it?
yeah, we haven't seen it.
Oh, shit.
And actually, I'd kind of forgotten all about it until an episode of The Studio last year kind of reminded me about it and also spoiled the ending. But I think I can still go back and enjoy it.
Right. Is why haven't you seen it? No, as in when we were growing up, it was like a good point in our lives at our age to be like, oh, I'm getting into movies and like I'll watch all the best pictures. That was my thing, and I didn't like it. So how come it passed you guys by? Did you just think, oh, I'm not really into it?
I can tell you exactly why.
Yeah.
Because my parents saw it before I did, and my dad didn't like it, and all I could hear growing up is "Beautiful Mind, rubbish."
He's got good
Absolute
taste.
Rubbish.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Fair.
I don't know why I haven't seen it. It just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Just didn't happen.
yeah, it just didn't
But
happen.
also Russell Crowe
know.
with 2 in a row is
smashing
wild.
it. Peak of his powers.
So
Russell
two
Crowe.
Best Actor wins back to back. Did he?
Was he Best Actor as well?
Did he win Best Actor?
I
He
don't
won for
think
one
he-
of them. I think he won for Beautiful Mind, maybe not Gladiator.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's right. A Beautiful Mind. So I have seen A Beautiful Mind. It is definitely trash. So trash. You know the whole thing of like Ron Howard makes very solid movies and very watchable movies.
Yeah.
This is not even that. It's
wow.
very low tier Ron Howard.
Really?
It's just a weird movie. So not very happy with that one. Please, someone take over.
Oh no, sure, okay. For
2003 there.
2003. Well, next up, Chicago.
Chicago, 2002, Chicago.
Yeah, sorry, I'm doing ceremony year.
Ceremony year.
But I wasn't when I was reading it out. I was doing the switch in
Okay,
my head.
well,
yeah.
so-
Let's do the movie year.
So the movie year, so 2002, Chicago.
Love Chicago.
Yeah, what I find interesting about Chicago is like, I feel like this was the last sort of big glamorous like movie musical. Did very well at the awards. Renee Zellweger at the peak of her powers. She had this like Cold Mountain came a few years later.
Oh, yeah.
And then I feel like we kind of movie musicals kind of subsided a little bit, came back a little bit with Les Mis, and now I think we live in an era now that we have the Wicked and West Side Story and all the kind of like the way that we shoot musicals has so massively changed. I like Chicago, I love the songs and everything, but sometimes I wish we could remake it with a big glossy new brush that with the technology that we have and the way that we shoot musicals 20 years later.
Interesting.
What I really like about that Chicago film is that it feels both grounded and maximalist at the same time. There's elements of it that are like dry and matter of fact in the prison, and it's delivered very normally, but all of the musical numbers, like it really shines and it's surreal and it's a performance, because the whole thing about Chicago is that like everything is a performance. You have to perform to the jury, perform to the press.
Right,
and it just straddles that line, like amazing design, all the stuff when it becomes a show with the spotlights. Love it.
I think this might be actually at a glance the one that I remember least. Like I don't actually literally remember the movie.
we watch?
But I do you think I should?
It's got a great dramatic John C. Reilly in there.
Yeah. Is Richard Gere in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flynn,
Okay.
You got $5,000? He's
And
great.
Dominic
He's fantastic.
West.
And Dominic
Dominic
West.
West.
He's always playing bad guys.
Yeah.
Scumbags, Dominic
What
West.
a cast. Yeah, Zellweger at the top of her game. Catherine Zeta-Jones, was she tailing off by that point?
That was the peak, I think.
That was the
her
peak.
Yeah.
Electric. Back in my day, the only things that were electric were the Eels, the
And is
Chair,
it-
and Catherine Zeta-Jones in Chicago.
Every time they do a musical number, it's like a set, right? They go
Yeah.
into like it's not realism.
It becomes like more of this, like the stage show.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more true to how it would have been performed on stage, but with cameras and like.
But you know, in my head, I'm imagining a swirling kind of through the streets of Chicago kind of interpretation. But I like it.
Who would you want to direct that, George?
Damien Chazelle. That's too
well,
obvious.
Not John M. Chu.
No, I don't know. I'm on the spot now.
No, not Damien Chazelle either. Anyway, let's continue.
Move on. The following year, we have Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. So, Fellowship and Two Towers have been nominated. Finally wins with a huge sweep of, I think, 13 awards. It's either nominated for 13 awards. It picks up.
Yeah.
And I remember
It was a
'cause
record
Spielberg
breaker.
opens the envelope and he says, "It's a clean sweep."
Nah,
Lord of the
yeah.
Rings. And it was this huge moment where actually, like, again, a bit like Gladiator, massive blockbuster film and a kind of fantasy film wins Best Picture.
Yeah, it's kind of the reward for the trilogy in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Because I don't know if I think Fellowship and Two Towers are actually technically better films
Yeah.
than Return of the King, but obviously Return of the King brings it home so well.
Yeah.
I would have been surprised if I think at that time the Academy would have been able to like mentally process a huge fantasy film like that being deserving of Best Picture. But by the time the third one came out and was amazing, you'd had the Two Towers, you'd had the other ones. It was like, this is a phenomenal achievement, and
Yeah.
rightfully so. For every category it's in, you can't really take any award away from it. It was brilliant.
I completely agree. Do you know the weird thing about that is? It was Fellowship and Two Towers were nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking the same. I was like, oh, did they just sort of think, oh, they got to the third one and they were like, oh, they really landed the plane, so let's nominate them, let's give them it. But it was already like on the map. And so it must have been a case of like, yeah, just waiting for the third one to be like, oh, we know that's coming, so let's just do it for that one. And on that point, this is a really timely one for me because I have rewatched Fellowship of the Ring theatrical on Sunday, and then Two Towers last night.
Nice.
I haven't rewatched Return of the King, but that was enough to remind me that I do think Fellowship is the strongest.
Me too.
I think it's the best arc. And I think it's quite like a neat arc, even though they're running off into the woods at the end. And yeah,
I think it's a tidier film because almost all the characters are in the same place.
Yeah,
outside of like Saruman, who's like the bad guy, but like it's very contained and dialed into Frodo's story. And I think that in the special features they said with Fellowship they made a very clear decision to ask a question as soon as they were leaving Frodo. It was like, why do we have to do that? And so it does a lot better, I think, just like for the clarity of the story to be in that one journey, and then they split at the end, and that's fine. Whereas Two Towers, I love, but it's bitty. You've got the Ents bit, you've got Aragorn and that, and Gandalf, and then you've got, who else is there? Merry and Pippin. And,
mate, it's like Treebeard, straight up fuck off. That's like actually so boring. I showed my darling wife the first one. She loved it, right?
Yeah.
We put on the second one last night. I saw her face fall over the course of 3 hours. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like I actually forgot that it is bitty. And it is actually... I don't know what the word is, like laborious maybe?
So I also recently watched it, but
Give
I
me-
watched the
give me it.
extended edition. I'm basically
Okay,
watching
right.
it for the first time with Anna, who's never seen it, has no idea what happens.
You're watching the extended for the first time, you mean?
Well, I have seen Two Towers once at the cinema 20 years ago. So
okay,
basically,
yeah.
it's the first experience as,
that's
as an
fun.
adult. I agree that it was bitty, and I all the stuff for the Ents takes a while, but it's like the movie goes, Rohan, Ents, but Battle of Helm's Deep redeems itself, and when the Ents finally go, fuck it, let's fuck Saruman up.
Yeah.
And it's like, last March.
History is my
I'm like,
friends.
it's been worth it waiting for
Yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah.
The wizard should know better.
Well, there's that moment when Merry and Pippin have been waiting for hours, and they're like, "We've just said hello." And you're like, oh my god! Fuck yeah, I've been in this movie for 3 hours.
Honestly, like at the start of Fellowship of the Ring, my darling wife said there's loads of like quirky bits with Merry and Pippin in the first one, right? And really early on, she goes, "Oh, they're annoying me," and I go, "Oh no," because and then at the start of number 2. She says it again. There's a bit about the orcs and are they going to eat them and whatever. And she goes, "Oh, I could do without the Merry and Pippin storyline." And I was like, the second one is like hinged on that storyline. Like Gandalf comes back to them. The Ents win the Helm's Deep battle. Like everything's hinged through Merry and Pippin. And I agree. Like I couldn't give a
I think
fuck.
crucially, the first act of the first film, from the beginning of telling you everything you need to know about the ring and so on, that's all the way through to when Frodo arrives at Rivendell, like stabbed and completely ruined. That first act is just so engaging, and it does not stop. It's got to explain the stakes of the ring, the powers, the fact that it can't be found. You've got to meet Aragorn. There's got to be like a serious death and danger of the ring race, being like, these are what is going to come after you. And then he gets stabbed, he nearly dies, and then he arrives at Rivendell. It's like, okay, we're going to take a pause and start Act 2. Love it. It's just a perfect
And,
act.
sorry, one final point. Fellowship of the Ring, brilliant dinner movie, because you just get your dinner and like you just gorge, right, for 3 hours. Lovely time. We start Two Towers with our dinner last night, and like Gollum's on the screen within 3 minutes, like, and we were like, couldn't enjoy our food at all. Shit food movie.
Cracking their legs.
Yeah, terrible vibes.
Right, well, there you go. That was a huge reason why Lord of the Rings is awesome.
Next up, we have $1 Million Baby, which is Clint Eastwood's movie. Clint Eastwood, I think, a better director than an actor. I've only seen this once a very long time ago.
Too.
All I remember is that it takes a huge pivot, sort of 2/3, maybe even 80% into the movie. Fred, have you seen it?
I have seen it. Yes. I think once as well. And I think I quite liked it. I don't know. I think actually in hindsight, like looking back at Clint Eastwood's like latter career, he is such like an economical director, almost to the point of detachment. And like, it's strange that movie is so deep and dark in that second half, because I don't think he gives a lot of emotion as a director. And I watched Mystic River recently, and it feels almost cold. Have you seen Mystic River?
I have, again, when I was too young, and I'd like to revisit it, because I remember that being a big Oscar movie that year.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just not a massive fan of $1 Million Baby. It's fine. I'm sure it's fine.
Well, then we'll move on to the following year. Bit of a controversial year, this one. A lot always talked about. Crash wins Best Picture. Paul Hanks is Crash. Who's seen it?
I've seen Crash.
Yes.
You? Same. I've seen it, and when I was a kid, I really liked it. I thought it was like powerful.
Me too. I had the DVD.
And do you remember the scene with the
cloak,
the revolver and the blanks?
Yeah.
And it's like the daughter.
Yes.
And I remember being like,
oh, that's amazing.
That's so. And it's all about like racism, yeah.
Crash is like, you know, those Love Actually Valentine's Day New Year's Eve films, but it's not about anything happy. It's like you got 7 different storylines all kind of linked, but not really. But it's not, they don't all sort of kiss in the end.
No.
You're so right. This is such a movie
racism,
that we
man.
were.
It's bad.
Racism, bro. It's so bad. It's so bad. It was exactly the type of movie that we were going to see at the age we were at. And think, this is so meaningful. Like this is really deep. And then this crazy thing is that a body of Oscar voters felt the same for like a year.
It's really giving Kendall Jenner handing a Pepsi over to the police.
Yeah.
Well, actually, hang on. When was the last time you all watched it? When we like 20 years ago?
On
something
DVD,
like that?
a few
I think
years after
10
release.
maybe.
I would like to know from people if they've seen Crash recently. Is it as bad as people like to say it was? Like, because at the time, like I said, when I enjoyed it, I thought it can't be that bad. However, I will say that obviously now I'm at the age where I've seen Brokeback Mountain and everyone goes, that should have won. I go, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It should have won.
Absolutely.
Next up is The Departed.
Sorry, you go, James.
No, not at all. The Departed, Martin Scorsese making her first appearance on the list.
Yeah, and his first technical winning film that won a
Yes,
Best
that
Picture,
is true. Yeah.
Who's batting for The Departed in this 3? There's got to be one of us.
I love The Departed.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Because I like it, but like it won, and like I thought when I was like, what was it? We were 14. I was like. Quite cynical about it because I don't think I'd seen it at the time, and I was like, oh cool, like they gave Scorsese his Oscar, and I always grew up with this feeling of like, well, it was after the fact and he's already peaked and blah blah blah. This was before Wolf of Wall Street. I kind of kept that in my adult life, and I've watched it, and I think it's good.
It's great.
But am I missing the point here? Like I don't know. I think I'm missing something.
So I've seen The Departed 3 times, and I think as I've got older and my appreciation of a really good film has matured, and I think what I look out for as being like expertly crafted cinema matures basically. First time I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's like a fun cop thing,
right,
with like great actors. And later I was like, oh, but this is so like deep and fun. The third time I watch it, I see the craft in the storytelling, the editing, the music, what he's doing with performances. And it's that same strand I get when I watch Killers of the Flower Moon, which not everyone agrees with me and George on how much I love it. But like I go back to The Departed and I'm like, that is a master at work with the very best tools in terms of the actors he's working with a really great script. And like I have another feeling if I watched it for a fourth time, I would just love it even more. It's probably one of my favorites on the list.
What's your take, George?
I really like it for the same reasons that James said. Obviously, we could flag that it's technically a remake based on the Hong Kong movie Infernal Affairs, but it's got a couple of things. It's got my favorite type of Matt Damon, which is evil Matt Damon.
Yes.
I like nasty Matt Damon. I think he's really good at playing that. I love the shocks and the surprises. I love the great cast in it, great needle drops. And you know what? If in the interest of balance, I actually basically have nothing bad to say about The Departed, but if you wanted to, the last time I watched it, I did feel just a hair Nicholson is pushing it in terms of overdoing it. I want to say, Jack, you are wonderful at a 9. Can you just, even down a 0.5?
He might be at an 11 in that one, to be honest.
Because that's his last great role, I think. I know he did London Bucket and things afterwards, but I think that's the last great Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is that sort of the start of Scorsese's maximalist filmmaking style. Because did anyone watch the Apple TV Scorsese documentary?
No.
It's really interesting, and he spoke quite directly about it. He was like, I think it was The Departed, I'd made a style for myself that I've now kept for the rest of my filmmaking career. And if you look back at, like, obviously Goodfellas is like, actually Goodfellas is probably the first time that he introduces this sort of like the tracking and the cuts and the dun, 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 that kind of thing. And I think it was crystallized by The Departed. And almost like Steven Spielberg with his lens flare and all that shit. Like, he's never let that go now. And so now I think going back to The Departed, you're like, well, is it a pound shop Goodfellas? Do I enjoy Wolf of Wall Street more?
But actually, I think you touched on a good interesting point there, which is that's why Scorsese, for me, is a great filmmaker, because his approach is cumulative. And it's why when he turns up with, like, his last film, Killers of the Flower Moon, one of his best, you can see him as someone, not as a director who's deteriorating and sort of plateauing. He is a director who's getting sharper and sharper and better and better. Constantly evolving, actually.
The fact that Wolf of Wall Street was directed by like a 75-year-old man is just ridiculous.
With that much, I don't know, like vigor and energy into it. You sort of wonder where that energy comes from. Yeah, it's brilliant. Next up in 2007, we've got No Country for Old Men.
So my thing with No Country for Old Men...
It's rough. I'm sorry.
You don't like it?
There Will Be Blood should have won.
I'm
sorry.
I
didn't mean to say that.
It's a tough year. Yeah. We've had questions on the pod before about people saying, that's a tough year. Those two films tonally, stylistically, feel like a great double bill. They were actually filmed in a very similar area.
Location,
I have this story, which is that during COVID, me and my former film degree friends were having a chat about what's the one film that we can agree on. We had a huge difference of opinion amongst us, and the one film we whittled it down that we all agreed was fantastic was No Country for Old Men.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think
so. You went through any film was up for grabs there.
Any film we whittled it down, and if 5 of us said it was great and one person said no, it was out. Wow. And the one film that all 6 of us really rated was No Country for Old Men.
That's interesting. Yeah, obviously amazing. I just have this massive chip on my shoulder. I think There Will Be Blood is the best film I've ever seen, and the fact that it didn't win that year, and also I noted down the fact that Zodiac wasn't nominated that year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's wild. It didn't get one Oscar nomination in any category.
That is crazy.
How wild is that?
Zodiac would definitely get
Sure.
nominated
Yeah.
for release today. Even today, the fact
Maybe not in a post-The-Killer world, actually.
You know
I
what?
like The Killer world.
Yeah. The thing I think holds Zodiac back is that, this is spoilers for Zodiac, by the way. Sorry, everyone. But the thing that I think holds it back is that they don't catch the killer. Right, that's the whole point. It's frustrating.
Yes.
So narratively, it's not clean. There's all these loose threads throughout the film. You get a little bit of Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, you get a little bit of Jake Gyllenhaal, and then it's a bit of Mark Ruffalo. It's not like a clean movie that you come out with and go, it's kind of deliberately frustrating. And I think that's why it leaves some people cold. Maybe
it blue balls you.
It really
blue balls
does.
you.
It really does.
Say it like that.
Yeah. No. So obviously, brilliant movie. No Country for Old Men. And also Jesse James was that year as well.
Oh, the
Assassination of Jesse James.
Another movie I'd like to rewatch.
Yeah,
which is
and Deacon's cocking. I think that there's an overarching narrative here, obviously, which is that it is curious how the narrative of the Oscar conversation, what's the word? Kind of converges or something. There's something that happens every year. You know what we saw with
They're looking for different things.
Right, like Emilia Perez last year. How does that happen? I'm not saying No Country for Old Men is at all in that sphere.
No, it's astounding.
But it's funny how you can look back, and I've picked the wrong year to talk about this, to be fair, but it's funny how you can look back and be like, I mean, that's just completely wide of the mark.
I think there'll be an unconscious bias within the voters of I don't think this is necessarily true, but they'll go, yeah, we already voted for something like that 1 to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so therefore, even though technically the film this year might be better than what won last year, they don't want to feel like they're voting the same thing in.
It's
and
like-
so it creates an inherently, it wants to an iterative vote.
Exactly.
It's always gonna want to change.
Like the whole thing about like, oh, we've given Leo an Oscar, so he's not going to win this year for one battle. Like,
Yeah.
I would eat my hat if he wins the Oscar.
Yeah.
And we'll give Timmy the Oscar now, or we'll give it to him when he's 50. Like that kind of thing.
I think Timmy's going to win because they're like, well, he campaigned hard last year, didn't get it.
Yes.
So it's like a return on investment, move it into this year.
Yeah.
Gets it. Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
when you were doing your exams and they were like, you shouldn't revise the Cuban Missile Crisis because that was in last year's GCSE exam. You're more likely going to get the Russian Revolution.
That's a
Your
very
teachers
good
would
analogy.
tell you what's likely
That's
going to
a
happen.
very good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to put different things.
No, great film. So 2008, we have Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
I remember this being huge.
Huge
I remember this
movie.
being massive. And I forget that it's a Danny Boyle movie.
Me
Yeah.
too. But I can see the Danny Boyle stuff all the way through.
I remember the Pussycat Dolls, Jai-Ho.
the soundtrack all
A.R.
across.
Rahman soundtrack
yes.
is amazing.
All I wanna
Who
do
was
is
that?
bam,
Who was
bam,
that?
bam,
A.R.
bam.
Rahman was just the guy who composed the soundtrack.
Okay. It was a good pulp.
Yeah.
You guys know this film a
I
lot.
remember because my mum got it on,
was
on
really
disc.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool, right. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, once in the cinema, one and done.
I remember that was one of my first experiences of being in an awards season where a film was so hyped.
Yes.
And it was so overhyped. Do you remember the post that said
Massive.
the feel-good movie of the decade?
Yes.
Which was easy to
On the
say in
buses.
January 2009.
Yeah, and looking at the nominees, actually, we've got Curious Case of Benjamin Button,
Snowfest.
Frost
No.
Nixon,
Oh,
Snowfest.
yeah,
that was
underrated.
really
Good
good.
movie.
Okay, right, I haven't rewatched it. We've got Milk, and we've got The Reader, the most boring film.
I liked The Reader when I saw it.
Okay, fine. So, but my point is that I think we all knew, everyone knew Slumdog was going to win that year.
Yeah.
And I think there are curious years like that, like Oppenheimer year, Slumdog year, Return of the King year. Like there are years where the Oscar body is just
Yeah.
like, fuck yeah.
They did
that's
say
it.
that. I remember the commentary around Oppenheimer. They said that Oppenheimer was the first like surefire winner since Slumdog.
Yes.
Slumdog was the last open and shut kind of. In there.
I think fondly of Slumdog. I think about the premise on paper. It's
ridiculous.
It's silly. Like, it's ridiculous. And there's no sort of like grand sort of deified reason as to why it
He just
happened.
got really lucky.
It just is. The film says that it is because it is basically on
Yeah.
screen.
It's an original story, right? It's not based on anything.
It's based on a novel.
There's a novel,
called
Is it a
Q&A,
book?
yeah, which
Right.
would have done sold gangbusters after.
Yeah.
But like, you know what? I think I credit it for like zipping through the plot and time and
Yeah.
pacing yourself through. And like, I did really care about that relationship, and
Yeah.
I thought there was something really special about it. And
Yeah.
I actually thought the guy who played the host,
Yes.
the Indian Chris
Oh, yeah,
Tarrant,
yeah,
at
yeah.
the time, did a really good job at like playing with him, toying with him, manipulating him.
I need to
like,
rewatch it. It's not even what you're saying. I'm like,
reckon
I don't
it's a
remember any of
solid
this.
I think it's probably solid. I mean, I wonder. I actually think Danny Boyle has come out and said that he wouldn't make it now because it's like the way that we
Yes.
do this. He's like he doesn't feel appropriate as an Englishman.
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
making such an Indian story. But I think we need to celebrate the fact that was like Dev Patel jumping out of skins.
Gave us
to
Dev
yeah.
Patel.
Front
mainstream,
and
and he's
centre.
brilliant. I love Dev Patel so much.
and he's really good in
Very
that
good.
movie. Really good.
So we have the switch to 10 nominees in 2009.
Yeah, this is really
or the
interesting.
2010 ceremony with the movie The Hurt Locker winning. And in those nominees, we had Avatar. Actually, the nominees are a bit shit. Avatar is the Blind Side year. We've got District 9, Inglourious Basterds,
yeah.
and
Two good movies.
Education. Yeah, we've got a lot going on
Should
there.
Avatar have won? Not necessarily because
Of,
I don't
The
think
Hurt
it's the
Locker.
best film, but this is a conversation you can have about other years coming up. But like, Return of the King probably should have won that year because it would have been the most popular film of that year. It's top
You
five,
mean
I
Avatar?
remember.
Oh,
no,
sorry.
I'm saying
Oh,
for
sorry.
example,
Yeah, yeah.
2003 and
Got you.
rightfully won. How important is the popularity and therefore kind of like box office draw that a movie has relevant to whether or not it wins Best Picture?
I think that's relevant for this year with the
Sinners,
conversation around
yeah.
Sinners. Obviously, Sinners
Yeah.
has been massively nominated, which is a great example. But like, Avatar actually was like critically well loved
Yes.
at the time. Obviously, huge box office pull, and obviously well nominated.
And audiences did love it.
Yeah, and I
they
think-
really did.
and
Had
that-
the best reaction to a film, the most powerful reaction
Yes.
to a film I think I've seen in a very long time.
And I think that's why Oppenheimer won, and that's why I think I'd be happy for Sinners to win because it feels like the most democratic
Yeah.
and justified win. But you're right, it doesn't win.
Yeah.
Hurt Locker was
does.
like the hard-hitting, based on
Yeah.
true story, gritty, historical
Let's
film.
also not forget. Also, sorry, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
go
It's
on.
just that like Iraq and Afghanistan was like so much part of the conversation still. We'd only just gone into the Obama era, and like I think a lot of In the same way, like the Deer Hunter won in the 70s because it was about Vietnam. It's like
a more important story.
You needed something to sort of draw the poison out of people, and then a lot of anger they wanted.
Whereas
to
Avatar,
this.
wishy-washy fantasy space,
Exactly.
it's Blue Monkey.
Fugazi.
It's a Fugazi. I think that what's going on with Avatar as well, it's a really good point actually about Iraq, Afghanistan, is also that I think Jim Cameron just pissed off the Academy a bit too much when he said, "I'm the king of the world." I don't think they wanted to give him another one, and I think Catherine Bigelow was his ex-wife, and it was a fun little turn.
Oh yeah, of course.
I don't think they wanted to give him another one, and I don't think they ever would. Way of Water got a Best Picture nom, but he wasn't in the conversation at all.
I think. Sorry, if I can.
go
On
for
that
it,
point
yeah.
is that like I always say to people when they're talking about the Oscars, who's going to win? I always say, what's the story?
What's the narrative?
Because like Catherine Bigelow had started by making smaller, kind of edgier films. Point Break is obviously a big studio film, but like Near Dark and Strange Days, and then it migrated into making this hard-hitting movie about I can't remember if it's Iraq or Afghanistan. Whereas, as you say, where do you go when you're the king of the world? You're at the top. There's no story to tell there.
And they'd given him every award in every category. And I just thought they were like pissed off. And the interesting thing in contrast to that though, is that they increased it to 10 noms because The Dark Knight didn't get a nom the previous year. That was basically the discourse of like, we didn't get Dark Knight a nom. How did this happen? It was brilliant. It was a box office success. We need to give space for the box office successes that are also good.
Yeah.
It's like the Sinners spot, right? So the fact that Avatar was in there might have been due to that. And if it was, then that really was the Dark Knight of that year. That probably should have won.
It was a pre-Dark Knight world before the Dark Knight happened, where we didn't think comic book movies could be good enough or like respected enough to be nominated. You could only do that post-Dark Knight where we'd consider the Dark Knight to be good enough. They weren't ready at the time.
The Dark Knight would win now, right?
Oh. They've still not. When was the last
It's
time?
difficult to put
When was
yourself-
the last time they, apart from Return of the King, when was the last time they awarded like an IP? When was the last time they awarded?
When did they ever do that?
Well,
usually
Return of the King.
original.
apart from,
They don't do franchise.
They nominate IP.
Yes.
They don't actually.
So, yeah. Godfather Part 2. Brilliant IP.
Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, fine.
Yes. Next up, we have The King's Speech won for 2011, 2010.
Yeah, I remember this era really vividly because this is like when I'm at 15, 16, getting into movies.
Yeah, well, this is peak.
I liked The King's Speech at the time. I think now looking back, it's one of those examples of like, that was a good movie of that year.
Yes.
But like, The Social Network happened to be one of the great movies that's now stood the test of time. And I think that happens every year. There are good movies that pop up in the year, and sometimes it's hard to separate what's going to stick and what's not. But it is so obvious now.
The Social Network
is
it's
that's the one.
It's
superior.
I agree. I really like the King's Speech. I have really fond memories of watching the King's Speech. I like impersonating the King's Speech.
Yeah.
Like it's just people doing really good. Like what's his face? What's his name? He plays King Edward the Fifth.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce
Yeah,
just
Guy-
doing brilliant underrated work in there.
yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter and a really really good Colin Firth performance.
Absolutely.
But I agree. Of all the films nominated, which I'm not looking at all of them, The Social Network is the one of the best films of the century so far.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
deserves to be sitting on this list. It
100%.
is brilliant.
There's Inception nominated that year as well. And interestingly, Toy Story 3, was that in the conversation for winning in a Return of the King kind of way? Like an animated film hasn't won for a long
sequel.
time.
It was was that the first time an animated movie? No, sorry, it wasn't because Beauty and the Beast. So
Beauty and the Beast was won.
Beauty and the Beast won. So I think Toy Story 3. I think it was one of those times. Yeah, I think there was a lot of love for it, but it was clearly, I think, an example of like the slightly expanded.
They were just giving it a
That
spot.
and District 9 as
That
well.
and Inception, they were giving it a spot, basically. Yeah. George.
Over to next, we have, of course, The Artist. This is a curious one because I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that no one talks about this movie anymore.
No.
I don't see clips of it on TikTok. I don't see clips of it on Instagram. I don't see memes from it. Not that that's how you measure the longevity of a movie.
But it is
like
a temp check on like where this film is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a silent movie, it's very hard to
Talk
consume
about
it in short little bursts.
It doesn't go on
Instagram.
TikTok very well, does it?
But I think what you're saying is like we're not even like taking the piss out of it. It's
No.
not even
Yeah.
got a foothold in like, oh, remember how bad that was? Like a Crash-esque thing.
yes.
It's just boring.
So my take, cynically, is that not only did I think the Academy realise that they got it wrong in inverted commas, because I think wider audiences, the wider general public, were like, we don't really care about a silent movie. But also in terms of investing in a product within your industry, it was a French film with actors who couldn't really speak English. Like Jean Dujardin won the Best Actor nomination for that. And he well done. He got a part in The Monuments Men and The Wolf of Wall Street. And then he went back to France and continued his career there. He can't speak English that well, which is totally fine. But I think the Academy sort of went, why are we not backing something that could then grow more dollar value out of it? That's my take on it.
I remember... at that point, we were all at that point, I'm sure, being like, hey, you know, whatever the nominees are, whatever's going to win, I'm going to go see it, right? So I was like, fuck yeah, I bought my tickets to The Artist, took my mum and my dad. I was like, let's go see this Best Picture winner. And, you know, never had like a more boring like 90 minutes other than The Reader, obviously. Like the worst, just like watching this, like what? I mean, what were they actually doing there? They were just awarding Hollywood history.
I think they thought it was so cute that, you know,
It
they'd
was
made
such
a
a
love
novel
letter to
idea.
Hollywood.
And a nostalgia play.
And this does, every twice a decade, there's a movie about Hollywood and about filmmaking, about creativity that kind of flirts the industry. But anyway.
Argo.
God, we got a real run of
Argo,
shitters.
this was such, I remember this so vividly, it's such an interesting year because like, I liked Argo.
Yeah, me too.
Argo is like, it's one of those examples where it's like, everyone can agree that it's like everyone's 3.5 out of 5 movie film, right?
Great wigs, great beards, knocking
everyone's
around.
like, I quite like Argo, but it was no one's favorite movie, but it was just like the consensus one that got agreed upon. But and I think that's what happens coming up in a few years' time with like Spotlight and Green Book. It's like it sort of falls to like the 3rd place vote or the 4th place vote because everyone can just agree on it. Anyway.
It's interesting hearing Ben Affleck talk about it because he had a really bad time in the noughties with a series of like critically panned flops and critically like people had been really mean about his performance because he was like white guy Ben Affleck with short brown hair. He was like he genuinely thought his career was over. And I think he said if his film The Town hadn't performed, he genuinely thinks he would have just gone, I think I'm done here. But The Town was like well received, which gave him the confidence to then go on and do Argo and then got Best Picture, and that kind of he attributes it to like totally bringing him out of a sort of like confidence hole, which is kind of crazy to think because we as audience members would think he might not be at that time considered to be a top actor, but you go, Ben Affleck, you got that juice to go. And I always think Ben Affleck's
Was
really
it a
good.
bit of was it a retribution win? Like I'm trying to remember the context at the time. You know, like was it almost like a Brendan Fraser-esque win? Like, oh, you're back. Like, well done, you've done something good.
Maybe a bit, yeah.
Sorry.
I think there's definitely a sense. I don't think I was like, not that I was that in tune with that, but I didn't really feel that personally. But I imagine like in certain circles between Hollywood peers, the Academy, that would have definitely been the case. I'm not sure I was really aware of it at the time.
I also think actually, do you have the list of the full nominees there?
Yes,
year?
it was a bad
I think
year,
it's a
mate.
weak year.
It was
because
so
you have
weak.
like Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close.
Oh no, that's another.
Is that a different year?
That's the previous year with The Artist, which was actually arguably weaker.
What's up against Argo?
Argo is Amor.
To art house for the main crowd to go
Beasts
for.
of the Southern Wild. Never saw it.
But
never saw it.
I think that holds the record for the film with the smallest budget to be nominated for Best Picture.
Interesting. And we've got Django Unchained. Never going to win.
But he won an Oscar for best original screenplay.
Yeah,
actually.
And best supporting actor as well.
Yep.
Life of Pi. Awful.
Never seen it.
I didn't dislike it.
Lincoln.
Too stately.
Yeah.
It's just like it's an old. We've done that old stuffy biopic.
Desaturated Times New Roman fun.
Les Mis. I reckon
I like
Les
Les
Mis
Mis.
was
I like Les
close.
Mis.
I bet Les Mis was close, you know.
I watched Les Mis a bunch of times.
Do you rate it?
I do.
Oh, great.
I do. It's a brilliant performance. Like Anne Hathaway's performance of that main
Fantastic.
song.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
It's incredible.
Breathy.
I actually wanted to pitch an episode like this to either you guys or maybe for my own pod. Is a segment about the most YouTubeable clip moments. You know what I mean? Those scenes that you watch on YouTube clips. So we've got Anne Hathaway singing Les Mis. We've got
I've abandoned my child.
I've abandoned my child.
For some reason, any scene from the film Margin Call.
Yes.
Margin Call. That was the one I was thinking of.
The Big Short as well always gets clipped up.
Explain it to me like I'm a small
Yes,
dog.
Margot Robbie in the bath, except for that scene as well. Phil.
Yeah, absolutely.
great.
So Argo.
Argo, very meat
shitter.
and potatoes, yeah.
There was also Silver Linings Playbook and Zero Dark 30. Quite like Zero Dark 30.
Zero Dark 30 would have given that was the controversial one at the
Too
time.
controversial.
Yes. Does it condone torture? No. Well, does it condone torture? We can't do
yeah.
it. And again, because she'd won for Hurt Locker, they were like, "What's the story?
And
What are you giving her a award
It was only
movie?"
a year after it happened as well. Then we've got 2013, 12 Years a Slave in a very strong year. Can I just read out this year?
please do.
Got 12 Years a Slave winning Well, is it strong? American Hustle. I actually like that film. I know you guys don't actually, do you? I really like it. We've got Captain Phillips.
Good.
Great movie.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
Gravity. Okay, it's not a strong year. Let me clarify after. Gravity. Her. Nebraska.
That's okay.
Philomena.
I quite like Philomena.
And Wolf of Wall Street.
Banger.
So I actually, rather than it being a strong year, what I think these are all actually quite eligible movies.
Yes.
Like you
Very
could
eligible.
definitely see Gravity winning. You could definitely see Dallas Buyers Club winning because he won Best Actor and whatnot. Wolf of Wall Street, you could 100% think
100%,
Scorsese was going to get his thing. I think it's and Captain Phillips, like
Yeah.
Paul Greengrass at the time was an Oscar darling in a way. I think he was getting his noms. I think this was a good year and 12 Years a Slave wins.
I think 12 Years a Slave is probably in my top 5 for this whole list. I absolutely
Wow.
love it. Yeah, I think it's
Tell
brilliant.
me more,
I've
that's
seen it maybe
interesting.
3-4 times now. One of the most powerful reactions I've had in a cinema in a long time.
Yeah.
Every cast member, I think, is doing some of their very best work. I also love Steve McQueen's last film. Shame is one of my
I
favorite
love
films.
Shame so much.
And there's a dry, sort of matter-of-fact approach, although a very different film that he attributes to this like sweeping lifelong story of slavery that just for some reason cuts through to the emotion of it. And I think it's probably his finest work. It's so good.
Well, I actually have, James, I owe you this story because I saw 12 Years a Slave at the cinema in 2014 when it came out. You know, and quite enjoyed it. Well, not enjoyed it, but I was like, oh yeah, it's a good film. Moved on with my life. But then that summer we were doing that play in 2016.
Yes.
You were talking about it quite obviously. You rated it very highly, and I'm thinking, I'm going to give that a second go. And so after we did that, like that September, I went back and I watched it. And I had a great experience with it. I thought it was fantastic. So I totally rate that as a great movie.
You're right about the performances. We've got a brilliant cameo from Paul Dano. You absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
A distracting one from Brad Pitt.
Distracting from Brad Pitt. Yeah, we'll leave that. And then we've got a brilliant villain from Michael Fassbender.
I think doing some of his very best
He's
work.
doing when he's drunk and he's
That's
like
scripture.
And we've got Chiwetel Ejiofor getting his flowers because he's had a brilliant career. Like I really like Kinky Boots, big fan. And also Mad About the Boy, love him in that. And I like that he had his moment. Did he win actor for that?
No,
actually?
he won a BAFTA, but he lost it this year to McConaughey.
Of course he did. Yeah,
You've got Cumberbatch in there doing brilliant work.
Cumberbatch. It gave us Lupita Nyong'o as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a breakout performance
Yeah.
from Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Good movie. 2014, Birdman won, and
remember this.
Interstellar didn't get a nomination.
This is when me and George first started talking about films. You've hit the birth of our friendship, basically. I remember
You guys have heard each other talk about these
and
movies.
we were all like, we would all go to the pub and we would like talk about what best picture films we'd seen. I remember specifically like we were sharing thoughts on Birdman.
Yeah. What's our thoughts on Birdman in 2026? It's 10 years since
I don't mind
Birdman.
it. I don't want every film to be
Have
like
you
that.
watched
I don't want
it
every
again?
best
I
picture
haven't
film.
watched
I
it
think I've
again.
seen it twice.
Okay.
I don't want every film to be like Birdman, but I think I know George is more irritated by it than me, and he's not necessarily wrong. I admire it being like quite creative and be behind the scenes and indoorsy and sweeping.
yeah.
And also there's like the one gimmick was not done to death by that point.
I'm sorry, George. Can I put this in the same category as the artist? These are my worst Oscar wins when the Oscars go, what the bloody hell is this? What's going on here then? This is very quirky and cool. I hate it.
I'm a bit with you, Fred. Obviously, I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't want to come down it too hard unless my opinion's changed. I have tried to rewatch it. I give it credit for everything James has said. Like, it is like high production and like glossy and different. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. The thing that really irritated me is that it wants to skewer the pretentious artisticness of this kind of world. It wants to be a satire, but at the same time, it is done with such pretentiousness itself that I found this sort of double standard really infuriating. Like when they shove the camera up in Emma Stone's face when she's giving this sort of speech about Twitter and bloggers.
It tries to be about too many things.
Oh,
I think, to its
remind me
detriment.
about that. So they push in on her and she's giving an emotive speech.
She's like, she's giving this whole thing, and she's very
She's
good.
like, Twitter needs to
mark
shut
Twitter,
up.
and it's just like,
and
you
don't
hate bloggers,
engage.
you mark Twitter.
Yeah.
And like every individual actor is doing great work, and Michael Keaton is great. I just, as a package film, I find it a little bit like...
It's about, because it's about both art, the artist creating art, critiquing art, receiving art, performing art. I'm just kind of a bit like...
That gave me the shivers thinking about that Emma Stone moment. You've really scratched an itch in my brain.
But she's good in that scene.
She is. I remember that.
That was her first Oscar nomination, I think, for that, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah, I think it was
Right.
because then she won subsequently for La La Land. And Poor Things as well, didn't she?
Do you have this? We talked about this with Blue Moon. Do you have this in movies that are either one location or one shot, and you realize that the camera is like sticking on this, and you're like, oh, a monologue's happening. Oh, okay, we're in this moment now.
I'm here for
and it's like, okay, this is a moment. This is a moment. And I just feel like they perceive themselves so much in that format, in that style.
It's like half of me is going, oh, this is very interesting. And the other half of me is like, get me out of here. I'm trapped.
I know. You just want to like look another way. Yeah. Interesting year though. So we have got next. Can I just say, by the way, Interstellar was not nominated in that year. It's crazy.
That is mad.
We had American Sniper, Boyhood, Grand Budapest, Imitation Game, Selma, Theory of Everything.
I would say, for me at the time, I thought Boyhood was deserved the nomination for being an achievement. And I haven't watched Boyhood in some time, but my second time watching that movie was the first time I, slid my glasses up my face, even though I didn't wear glasses at the time. And I was like, that's a masterpiece. It was the first time I'd used that word, and I think that should have won.
Yeah.
I think also like on the fact that Interstellar wasn't nominated, I think it's really important to remember that Interstellar was definitely like adored and loved by a select few when it came on. A select few, like a mainstream, side of the mainstream, but was very, very heavily criticized and ridiculed for all the sorts of reasons you could do for Interstellar. And I really do know this deep down in my heart, because I've always loved it and I've always called myself an Interstellar apologist, but now I'm definitely no longer in that. I wouldn't even describe it as a niche. Over the course of the years, people have been alleviated from the burden of needing to share an opinion that's critical immediately after release and have revisited it. It has been lovingly rescreened in 70mm IMAX, and people have realized what an absolute treasure that film is. And even though like the ending with the biggest ideas and the soppiest weeping and like the biggest leaps in logic, you're sort of less burdened by needing to care, because you've either already seen it or it doesn't matter about whether or not it's better than the other Best Picture winners. And it's like now just, I think, adored as a unanimous 10 out of 10.
You're right. That was
by
very
most
well
people,
put.
And it's been very fondly remembered away from needing to be criticized. And I think it is better than most of the Best Picture winners
100%.
in this list.
I'm also just like, what are we doing here? Because you're right about the discourse at the time. Yeah. But like looking back,
you were wrong to do it. I just think it's easier to watch the film for a lot of people now.
Completely.
On it.
So the categories expanded because of The Dark Knight. So they'd literally take a tip in their hat to Nolan. And then Inception is nominated, which in my opinion is an equally criticizable movie. I think we were too young to probably do it at the time, but I think if I'd seen it as an adult, just as adults were criticizing Interstellar, and that was nominated. So then you get to Interstellar and they're not nominating it, and I wonder again the Oscar discourse comes in where I'm like, there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason why they're nominating The Imitation Game and Theory of Everything and not Interstellar in a 10-person category.
Regardless of what you think about Interstellar's plot, the craft of it, I think, is deserving enough of it to make it on that list.
I don't think anyone else can do that film at that time.
Yeah, it truly is like a monumental, like amazing sci-fi epic that like will stand in the history of all sci-fi epics as being at the top of the conversation.
So with the next one, so the next year is Spotlight.
Nice.
And I think this is, as we're kind of touching on in the earlier part of the conversation, this is a real seismic moment.
Yes.
Because this, I believe, is also the same year of the Oscars So White hashtag.
Oh my
God.
God,
Like, it's the year where everyone says the Oscars has become too set, established, and safe. And Spotlight as a winning Best Picture is a kind of example and symbol of a very safe, nuts and bolts kind of by the books film to have won. And I do think that the subsequent winners we get after this year is where the Academy goes, we've got to think of something new. We've got to think outside the box when we think of a winner. Because Spotlight, I'm like, well, yeah, it looks like a Best Picture winner, and guess what? It won.
So are you saying that you recall them like almost scrambling for a safe place to sit while they reconcile with this?
No. I think the conversation was kicked off when these nominees came out, and Spotlight. My God, Spotlight typifies a year in which almost the attitude in voting was quite regressive and archaic and just kind of old school and old fashioned and too safe and too established.
What were the other nominees for that year?
The other nominees were The Big Short, Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max, Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, and Room. I mean, there's some decent films in there, like Revenant, Martian.
I think most people now would be like, "Oh, you should have given it to Mad Max," but I think it was. I think it's a bold. It would have been bold for them to.
Mad Max is like commercially or in terms of the audience response, sort of the sinners of that year.
Yes.
I feel like it would be more in the conversation now.
Also, like a legacy sequel of an old franchise.
Yeah.
It's the IP thing. They're a bit allergic to IP.
Do you know, was that conversation, was Oscars Too White sparked by the omission of a film?
It was no black talent being recognised in the acting or director category.
Was there a particular actor who wasn't nominated, though, that sort of sparked that? Was
This
it like,
might be
this person should have been nominated?
I think Selma was the previous year.
Yeah,
so
you're
it wouldn't have been
right.
David Oyelowo for that. I think it was just this. I think the world was changing and sort of waking up, and I just think it was a tectonic shift was happening.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah, you're right. And I'd like to have an addendum, which is about my theory on Tom Hanks. Are you ready?
Of course.
Because he's nominated in the Best Picture for Bridge of Spies that year, and I forgot solid movie, and I forgot to say my theory after he was in Captain Phillips. I've written a note here. Point about Tom Hanks.
To be read on the show.
Have we forgotten what made Tom Hanks good? It's this, i.e. Captain Phillips, right?
Yeah.
I.e. the regular guy thrown into like wild action-based circumstances. We've got Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, Captain Phillips, I think are key Tom Hanks roles. And instead, he starts to slip into this Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close, Bridge of Spies, and the one he did about that TV presenter that was dry as
Beautiful
dicks.
Day in the Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Dry as
dicks.
Did you just say?
I don't think Tom Hanks has not discovered his his older man persona.
I agree. Yes.
And I
His
think
new
it's,
era.
it's
Yeah.
because he doesn't remember that what we actually liked him for were the more action-based roles. I think he
Regular
thinks,
guy in a crazy scenario.
Yes,
Yeah.
he thinks he was like a thespian sort of semi-comedy actor. No, you're not. You're famous for Castaway and Saving Private Ryan and Captain
Which
Phillips.
is why he doesn't work in Elvis when he plays Jabba the Hutt.
Yes. What a weird... oh my God.
I've always described Bridge of Spies as a red wine movie. It's a
Yes.
loungy living room red wine film.
Can I-
And that's how it should be consumed.
I have, that's actually weirdly in the top 3 films I've cried hardest at in my life.
Really?
Because I used to have a routine of getting the train down to London. It's when I was getting into techno. I'd get the train down to London, I'd go out and I'd stay out until Corsica's shut at like 8 or something, and I wouldn't sleep, and I'd get the train back to York, and then I'd go to the cinema in York. And I was in an incredibly fragile, hungover state, no sleep, and saw Bridge of Spies. Cried my fucking eyes out. Maybe even just trying to stay awake. And I did the same with
Bridge of Spies.
Yeah. And the person next to me was like, I think weeping a little bit, but shocked at how hard I was sobbing. Because when he's lying on the bed at the end, and the wife comes in and goes, "Oh, this is what he's been doing."
It
all
really
this time.
makes you feel like where he is like cold and sickly, and he just needs to get out and get back to America.
Do you know what? Watched it again, cried again, just not quite as hard.
Yeah.
I did the same for Carol. Have we had Carol yet?
That we've passed it. That was that I guess didn't get that should have been 2015.
You
Nominated in 16, or I think we've did it get nominated for Best Picture?
It must have been.
I think it was the Spotlight year actually.
It's not on the list that I've got.
Well, then it didn't get nominated. For
As
Best
if.
Picture.
Wow. Anyway, sorry for divergence there. Thank you for listening.
And then on that, you talked about Oscar So White. I mean, again, I'm not saying taking any away from Moonlight, but you can see if you wanted to deduce a reaction to that, you can see that Moonlight won in 2016. I love Moonlight.
a very
Over La La
very
Land.
worthy winner.
Over La La Land, the
Absolutely,
whitest
yeah.
film ever made.
Also, sorry, as well with Spotlight on that comparison, like Spotlight also like was about something very noble, but like didn't really like bring the house down. Whereas Moonlight was bold and it felt fresh and it felt so exciting.
Intimate and about race and about identity and about masculinity.
And we also have Hidden Figures nominated that year, which I like. My darling wife absolutely loves. I think it is a really like empowering watch.
Yeah.
Whether or not from a technical point of view, it probably is like too saccharine and sort of paint by numbers in that genre. I do think it is an empowering watch, and I think like people find it quite a rewatchable movie.
I like space movies.
The thing about I like Hidden Figures.
That'll be the answer to that. I like space.
The strange thing about Hidden Figures, which again I think very very likable movie, very watchable movie, and it was like I would meet people in years afterwards and they go, "Oh yeah, I like that movie Hidden Figures," but that had Janelle Monáe and Mahershala Ali in it. And then you'd come out and you'd go and watch Moonlight, and that would also have Janelle Monáe and Mahershala Ali in it as well.
Was that year? Was Fences nominated that year?
It was,
yeah.
So they were definitely responding to the criticism of 2016, and I think 3 good movies, and then Hacksaw Ridge just threw in Mel Gibson there, just to say.
What was happening there? They went,
Hacksaw
oh, Mouse
Ridge.
back, we're okay with it. And then afterwards they're like, yeah, maybe not. And
No,
then
we're
it just
not
went
okay
away.
with that, actually. Yeah, funny, yeah. Any thoughts on the La La Land Moonlight switch? I think that was good for history.
Yeah,
Would you say?
I think it's good,
an
yeah.
iconic Oscars moment.
Yeah.
La La Land kept winning, but didn't win the award.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. What else do you to say about it? It was crazy.
I think Moonlight is a more worthy winner, and I think La La Land would have been in that conversation of those like. For me, like almost an Argo-y winner, where it's like we're giving this because it speaks to what we want Hollywood to be. Like it's fun and it feels important for some reason. And also it was a real like California movie, right? And I just think it would have felt very keep it in the family sort of win if it was La La
too
Land.
safe. I'm glad they got it out.
And La La Land was so hyped as well. Do you,
Oh my
remember
God,
the
yeah.
hype for that? And I think that actually ruined my enjoyment of the film because I wasn't discovering how much I liked it. I'd been told I was going to really like it. And we just, again, talked about this recently about it just sort of being a little bit split between genres. And no one was more excited to see Damien Chazelle's next film than me because I loved Whiplash. But I almost felt like his smaller stories are the ones I prefer. I've preferred Whiplash and First Man, even though they go to space. I'm like,
First Man slaps.
yeah, like, not a lot of people agree, but like when he's gone bigger with Babylon and La La Land, something about it gets a bit too ambitious. Like dare I say,
You're
It sounds
right.
like quite. I don't know. Yeah, when you go so big, something gets lost along the way.
Yeah,
So
I fully resonate
I think
with
he's
that.
I think he's doing his next one's with Daniel Craig, isn't it?
Yeah,
Damien
prison
Chazelle?
drama. Him,
Yeah.
Daniel Craig and
Oh,
Cillian
interesting.
Murphy.
Prison, contained, a bit more contained.
Yeah,
I think-
gritty. Yeah, not lofty,
gritty.
dancey
I
stuff.
think this is one for me.
Gritty, yeah.
One on, one off.
Yeah.
We have 2017, The Shape of Water.
I've not seen this one.
I have you seen it?
Yes.
I was really delighted by The Shape of Water. It is one of those films that with every 10 minutes I liked it more and more until it gets to the end and I was like, oh, that's nice. I do think in the first third I remember thinking this is really hammy, and the first act of Shape of Water feels like the third act because there's like a kind of a breakout storyline. Anyway, don't worry.
I've forgotten that.
Michael Shannon basically walks around in that movie with a big thing that says "I'm a bad guy" on my
Yes.
forehead.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
I've not seen the film, but I think The Shape of Water is a dumb sounding title.
What's it about? You're right. Yeah, what's it about?
It is, yeah. It's the kind of like if there was a satire of a Hollywood movie, The Shape of Water, like perfume ad.
What doesn't have a shape?
But you know what I will say about Shape of Water? So I think it's actually delightful, quite surprising, and a nice movie from Guillermo del Toro that takes really kind of like horror images and makes it romantic. And I think Sally Hawkins, who we love anyway as an actor, but like whenever like this was like her big movie, and like she's just great in it. And Richard
She
Jenkins
always
as well.
smashes it when she pops up. Can we have a moment to talk about Guillermo del Toro's relationship with the Oscars? I'm just looking. I don't think Pan's Labyrinth was nominated, unless someone wants to remind me of the year of that.
2006, I think.
Yeah, it's not nominated.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And what's interesting is The Shape of Water. I don't think he doesn't do an Oscar sort of worthy movie in between that and Shape of Water, right? I wouldn't say. So then Shape of Water comes around and it wins there's a year with Dunkirk, Phantom Thread, and 3 Billboards, which is very strong.
Yes,
so it
everyone
wins,
thought 3 Billboards would win.
yeah, so it's quite a strong year. And then now, Guillermo del Toro is one of the ironclad Oscar darlings. If he does a movie, it gets nominated. Nightmare Alley got nominated.
But that's a forgotten movie. That's
Right?
Like,
Totally, yeah.
Frankenstein's got nominated.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty bad. Like,
Right, yeah.
and
well, did Pinocchio get nominated?
maybe not.
Maybe in the animated category it might have done actually, but maybe not for
Probably,
Best
yeah.
Picture, but
I don't know. I don't know how he's pulled this really, because like I actually like Shape of Water. I almost think it's like my theory is that it's like it's a really long hangover apology for the omission of Pan's Labyrinth. That we're just like, hey, yeah, I'm so
sorry
that was
about
so
that.
incredibly good. Because I don't know why he's still getting. People love him, right? They love him as a character. That's the only reason I can think of, really.
I think that helps. He's very, very
just a
well.
nice
Speaks
dude.
really romantically and distinctly about film, which I think is
Yeah.
quite alluring.
He's friends with the
on
big
Frankenstein,
dogs.
That's actually a film I liked, but I don't consider it to be Best Picture worthy for this year.
No.
So it's an interesting one, but it's got quite
Yeah,
good, like, stuff.
but I do actually quite like Shape of Water, and I consider myself a Shape of Water apologist. I would say that it is nice.
Yes. Yes.
That was Fred Asquith on The Shape of Water.
I'm so glad you're here, Fred.
That's why you come to the
That
podcast.
poster. Nice. Green Book.
Green Book.
This is the worst film maybe on my of the.
It's gotta be.
I can give you my counter view if you want to put the cat amongst the
Go on.
pigeons.
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
My thing with Green Book is this: is that I think, yes, in terms of it's like, as a conversation of a film about race and race relationships and history of the 60s, like I think it's problematic and glossy and all those things, like really like problematic. But my thing with Green Book when I was watching it was like, this isn't even defending the film. People need to recognize that like as a vehicle, as a functioning vehicle of a film, it works. Like it runs, it's very watchable. I remember when I was watching Green Book and I was like, yeah, I'm very easily engaged. I can watch this through. I want to finish this. I agree that all the problems are there with it, but I'm just wondering, like sometimes when people talk about there being bad movies, they're bad for different reasons, and I'm like,
I think it's more that,
operates like a car.
You're right.
Yeah.
It works. I just find it quite pedestrian and quite ordinary.
Very pedestrian.
It's like it's the what you want to say about like race relations is another conversation. I'm just like, this is very average.
Agreed with that.
Average to
Agreed
poor
with that.
with problems. And
Yeah.
I had two friends who were like, Green Book is amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah,
One of the
I
best
remember
films
my
of the
family
year.
members
I
said
remember
that.
sitting down with Tyler to watch it like 30, 40 minutes in. We were like, this is very good.
Think about what it is. It's like takes big difficult history topic, make it super digestible.
Yeah.
Everyone
To the
enjoy.
eyes of a normal guy.
Yeah.
I'm just a normal guy.
Yeah. No, I think you make a good point. I think the problem is that because it was elevated to a Best Picture win, there's much more resilience to it. Like, I think if it didn't win Best Picture and it was just on TV, you'd be like, yeah, I don't really agree with its perspective, but like, fine, it's watchable. The fact that it got elevated to Best Picture leaves such a bitter taste in the mouth, especially after the Moonlight era, because that to me is the Oscars thinking, yeah, we're still, on the right side of.
Got to make sure we.
We're still doing this.
And it's always crucially with the Best Picture nomination, it's at the cost of another film which could have got it. So there's always like a comparison of, well, this didn't. That's
What
so
was
much
nominated that year?
Well, it was a very weak year, which I think it was Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody. The Favourite, which now would win this year, I think. Because
that's
people,
so much hype.
Yorgos Lanthimos is in the Guillermo del Toro slot. They fucking love him every time.
Anything he does.
Roma, I think people thought Roma
I
might
thought Roma
win.
was going to
was
win.
really
Yeah.
good.
And then A
Netflix
Star
one,
is
wasn't it?
Born. Would have loved that to win.
That is a weak year.
Vice is bad.
Oh, Vice.
It's a bad year. That is a bad year, isn't it?
Oh no, I like Vice.
Right, but as a total amount of films, I mean.
That's a bad year, though, yeah.
I think Roma was I liked it, but I did get a lot of buzz. But I think maybe it was impenetrable for some people, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think it's the Argo syndrome, but just worse. That's what's happened with Green
You
Book.
can't
That's a poor
imagine.
year.
You can't believe they're in the same era. The year before, Call Me by Your Name, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, Three Billboards. And
What a year.
just bang, 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 bang. And then the next year, the best one is what? The Favourite or Roma? The best one there?
They used
no one
them all
talks
up
about
the year
Roma
before.
now, and
No.
I think The Favourite was overrated.
Yeah. Fuck
You're
me.
right. It's like a fallow year from the previous year.
But this is like, we don't want to get in the weeds on this because I've thought about this too much, but there is definitely an on-off. The only problem is that COVID has completely ruined the pattern there.
I see, okay.
But there definitely seems to be that pattern. Anyway, next year we have one of the big dogs. Anyone want to announce the big dog?
Into Parasite. Yeah, 2019 Parasite. Remind me all the nominees for that year?
We have Ford v Ferrari. Not a fan? I like it.
I didn't mind it. I would. Yeah, it's not. Again, if you read out the year before that, crazy.
The Irishman.
Yeah, I liked it.
yeah.
I really think I had to be locked on a plane to really digest it in its entirety.
Yeah,
But that
right.
was a really good plane journey. It is good.
We've got Jojo Rabbit. That is another example of the Oscars, like thinking that something is worthy.
I didn't get.
They
Jojo
thought it was
Rabbit.
deeper than it was.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little like joke. People thought what bothered me about Jojo Rabbit was when they're like, it's a satire, and I'm like, it's actually fundamentally fucking not. Because actually, if you look at what a satire actually is, this doesn't do any of that. And the film, I don't think, wants to be called a satire. But if it sells it, fine.
I'm starting to get this ick about Taika Waititi, where I find him a little bit too indifferent for his own good sometimes. And sometimes he really nails it, and sometimes I'm like, you've actually really underserved
Absolutely.
this.
What was his film before that?
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Hunt for the Wilder People,
which
right?
I like.
So, do you know what I think is going on here? Again, I'm very like discourse oriented because I think the Oscars I think what was going on with Jojo Rabbit was they were thinking, Taika Waititi, you're going to be part of the club. Similar to Guillermo, similar to Yorgos Lanthimos. I thought, okay, let's invite you in. You're going to be one of the like mainstays here. And I think that he has since been found to be like not worthy of that kind of
Sorry,
thing.
it was Thor Ragnarok. That was his previous movie. See, that's what
Yeah.
gave me
Ragnarok.
that
That's when it was
polarity.
really mainstream.
Right,
popular
yeah,
studio.
yeah. I think he was a bit of a darling at that point. I remember him being like really present in like those quirky YouTube interviews with Variety and things like that. I just
Yeah.
feel like he was very, very out there.
But I found him actually, he would be quite flippant in a way that I think didn't do him any favors. Like
Yeah.
the way he talked about the handling of characters that people cared about or like treating issues like whether it was World War II or something. I was like, you actually talk about this in a way that's just a bit dismissive and flippant. And I think like sometimes it lands really well when you roll the dice on that. But other times it actually really makes you feel like an arm's length with what you're trying to do. And then you release like Thor Love and Thunder, for example, where it goes too hard. And it's like, actually, maybe you never really understood what made this character work in the first place.
I agree. I think he's got a kind of shoot from the hip policy. And one thing that bothered me about Jojo Rabbit is that like Taika doesn't know when not to be funny. He can tell jokes, he can be funny, but he doesn't know when to hold it and let the drama speak for itself.
And there was a time in these like quirky YouTube interviews, he was set to do 1 or 2 Star Wars movies. And I actually didn't like those. Star Wars is in a different place even then. And the way he was talking about it, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do something different. Like, I'm just going to do what I like to do. And if it's a little bit, people don't like it. There was not an accurate quote, but I was almost like, I don't feel like you're handling this with the gentle ceramic china care I think shit Star Wars deserves. I was like, I want you to, I don't know, like really sort of handle it delicately, and I was worried you wouldn't, but I think now, who knows what Star Wars is
Sorry, so
making.
this is the Parasite. What else was nominated? We were just running through that.
Sorry,
After Jojo
Parasite
Rabbit.
was, Joker.
Oh, wow, so you get a comic book film nominated.
Yeah, you're right. Nominated. So an IP gets nominated but doesn't win. He won for the best actor though, didn't he?
We've got Little Women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marriage Story.
Yeah, great.
Solid. 1917 was sort of widely touted to win up until the night, really.
Yeah. I thought that was.
I think 1917 was really adored by people who didn't watch loads of films.
Yeah.
I think the people who like just sort of were very impressed by like what I thought was like quite an okay
it's almost like
passable story.
that almost got a dose of the Oppenheimer medicine. It was almost like, okay, we've got important subject matter or important setting. Let's say World War II. We've got
gimmicky.
We've got
cinematography
Oscar
thing.
darlings on there. We've got Deakins who won, I think, for that one, right? And we've got Sam Mendes, American Beauty. He's already had history with it.
Bonds,
And I think that we were like, we're just going to give it to this one. And it's easy for people to like it because they look at
Prestigious
it
title.
all in one shot. Wow, isn't that amazing? It's got the Birdman treatment.
But I felt
and he didn't
by that year, I was kind of the one through the whole movie wasn't really impressing me that much. And I spent the whole time going, they cut there.
Yeah.
And
It
they
was
cut
so obvious
there.
when they fucking cut,
It
wasn't
isn't
it?
like adolescence or boiling point where it's a genuine one.
Yeah,
Like, I truly believe you can tell the difference and there's a effect it has on the audience. But I think not only is this a step up on the previous year, the Green Book year, when you're on-off
Oh
pattern.
my God, yeah.
I did see something online. I'd be interested to get back to this when we finish the whole list, but that this was the last great year until this year. So
Yes.
So in terms of like Parasite, like an all-timer, I think we all love Parasite.
Yeah,
don't we?
it's
Like,
in the top.
I love Little Women. I think it's up there as almost a perfect movie. I think Marriage Story is really good. I don't think Noah Baumbach has been as good since.
I agree.
Or Adam Driver has been as good since. The Irishman was like Scorsese back doing, you know what, I'm going to do
Flawed, but I still think very
still good. And I think, and even 1917 is fun, but like I will go through it in the coming years, but
I put The Irishman almost in the same category as like Casino. I don't know if that's like sacrilegious to say.
No,
but
yeah.
If you really like it, like I watched Casino within a couple of years ago, and I just really enjoyed it because it was like kind of seen as the lesser child to Goodfellas, but still of the same cast, the same era, the same gangster style. And I was like, this still really works. And The Irishman, I just consider to be like not the most amazing Scorsese, but it's still a really good, really well acted
You've
Scorsese
tapped into
movie.
a really, like, I feel that too when I watch, Casino's a great example, where you feel like you have the space to enjoy it in your own way.
Yes.
Without being sort of like feeling like you're oppressed by all the love and all the discourse and all the breakdowns you've seen. You're just like, I can just watch this in
Just watch
secret.
it as it was.
And just like watch
Because you
it.
see Goodfellas and Casino on the shelf, you're probably going to watch Goodfellas. But I'd seen Goodfellas and I hadn't seen Casino. I was like, sure, I hear it looks great. I think I've been seeing some great clips of it on YouTube, which I know this looks really good fun. And it was great. Loved it.
3-hour narrated movie.
Had the
basically.
most number of F-bombs until Wolf of Wall Street, didn't it?
Oh yeah,
right.
and, sorry, Wolf of Wall Street was previous. Sorry, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was the last.
Oh,
nominee
another
this year.
great movie.
Yeah.
So that's a good year.
Yes.
That's a good
Very
year.
good year.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt gets his supporting actor.
But yeah, Parasite, first Best Picture winner to be a foreign language movie. and
a wonderful
deserved.
surprise as well.
Yes,
Like the
big
news stories,
surprise.
seeing him catching all the Oscars, and it was like a real. Just people don't expect that type of director, non-English language, to win.
It was literally supposed to be 1970. It's supposed to be, but people thought it was 1917 until the night.
No, that checks out. There are films that I think are supposed to win a lot of the time.
And it was. I love that that's the first foreign language film to win. I wish it happened sooner, obviously, but I love that being the first one.
It's a banger.
It's just like this is what we've been fucking missing.
I've still only seen Parasite once, but it's still so vivid in my head. But I hold it so dearly.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
It's unforgettable.
Yeah, unforgettable.
So
now into the
we
COVID
have
era.
the COVID fallow years. We have Nomadland.
I liked Nomadland, actually. I saw it in my living room, but I liked it. I rated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also saw it on my laptop, and it was fine.
It's sad, isn't it? What happened to us, isn't it?
My favorite movie from my favorite movie from the COVID year. I don't even know if it would have been eligible. Was Steve McQueen's Small Axe Lovers Rock.
Oh my god!
The Flat
Which
Party.
was released. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, released
Also
on
in the top
iPlayer.
3 things I cried at most.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't enjoy it too much?
No, I liked it. Yeah, but also like the way I consumed and felt about films during that whole era is kind of different now.
It was that, and like Borat 2 came out. On
Exactly. Don't take everything I say to out of context.
It was awful time, but that year, the standout that year in the nominees is The Father. I think,
I liked The Father.
Yeah,
A lot of people found it really trite and gimmicky, but I think it was powerful.
and that performance is brilliant.
Yeah. And he won because everyone thought Chadwick Boseman was going to win because he'd passed away.
Yes.
But he didn't. But Anthony Hopkins won, and I remember he received it as like video link, but he wasn't fucking good.
And
at
it was a really
I've still
weird.
not seen The Father. I need to watch it. Yeah.
so-
Yeah, definitely watch it. It's it's a
Harsh.
good it's a good depiction of it's Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
and the previous like prominent depiction of that was Still Alice with Julianne Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think felt more gimmicky, emotionally manipulative, and this felt like, I think, a better depiction from my experience, and because I've got Alzheimer's, and a really weird ceremony that year. I don't know if you guys are ceremony watchers, but I like watching it. That year, the ceremony was directed by David Fincher, if I remember correctly. Or Steven Soderbergh. It's one of them two.
right,
I think it was Soderbergh, actually.
Maybe that sounds more Soderbergh.
And he made the decision to put the Chadwick Boseman Award, the Best Actor Award, at the end
Not
of
Best
the
Picture?
show. No, they put Best Actor at the end because they thought Chadwick Boseman was going to win. What a wonderful ending, posthumous Oscar. And then Anthony Hopkins wins, and he accepts the award over video call. And then the show ends.
Yeah.
And they were pissed off because they still care about ratings on that show.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, what a terrible ending to the Oscars. And Anthony Hopkins on a video call going, yeah, thanks very much. You know what he's like?
for this.
Yeah. In his like Hawaiian shirt. I don't know where he is. He's in Italy
I
somewhere.
think he was genuinely surprised because he actually thanked, he gave reference to Chadwick Boseman in his speech. He was like,
Oh, I don't remember that, right. Okay.
Anyway. So then you have the COVID hangover year following that.
Which is arguably, I was going to say a worse year. It's probably not a worse year, but Coda wins. Oh, I haven't seen them all. I haven't seen Coda.
I've not seen
Yeah,
Coda.
no, not seen Coda.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
This
Again,
is the year
like
of the slap.
nobody talks about it in the same way that they did with Roma.
Yeah.
When we've brought up on the show that we haven't seen it, there have been a handful of people who have emailed in and said, guys, it is actually quite good.
Yeah.
How much have you not going back to watch that? Because it is for me. Is about the fact that it was a COVID win. Because for me, it's large. I just can't want to interact with the era.
A bit like that, yeah.
Also, it's the first win from a streaming network. Because Apple TV Plus won it. Netflix had nominations. Like Roma was a Netflix film, for example, but hadn't won.
And The Irishman was the first one, I think.
Yeah.
First nom.
No, I think Roma was the year before.
Roma was the first one.
And so I kind of am like, it kind of makes sense almost in a way that it's a digital, online, straight to home streaming film that won because the cinematic experience wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I haven't really. You're right. People have written in and said, it's worth checking out. I don't get the sense of urgency to fill that missing gap.
I think
actually.
also, it's that because there's no big stars in it.
Yeah, true.
It's one of those things that just doesn't really carry
I don't feel
forward.
like I've missed that
The
much, which is
guy,
wrong.
do you know what? The only guy I know from it was the you were there, the
Primate.
dad in Primate.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. Yeah, and he won a Best Actor for that year.
Best support.
Best supporting.
But he did, yeah.
Yeah. That year had Dune in it. That year had Nightmare Alley in it. Had West Side Story in it, which I know we all
banger.
quite
Should
like.
June have won?
Yes, can I just put in that conversation that what wasn't nominated, which would be nominated now, and I think should have won, is Worst Person in the World.
Yeah.
That would be in there now. Off the
It'd be
bat.
nominated.
It would be in there, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think it would be between that and June if it was this year. If that year was
I
coming
think
again.
Joachim Trier has been welcomed in.
Yeah,
with,
for sure. He's
Sentimental
part of the
Value,
club
yeah.
now.
That was the year that Promising Young Woman won Best Original Screenplay.
Right.
And I was just like,
done with
you're
the
having a fucking joke. Aren't you? Did you vote for people who can't read? Anyway, what's after that?
Yes, so we have... it's still semi-COVID year. 2022, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I love the fact that type of film, going back to what we were saying at the beginning, that type of film was the kind of film that could win a Best
And
Picture.
this felt like the most intentional version of that to me.
Yes.
This felt like, because Nomadland is a misnomer because it was COVID. This is the one where they were like, no, we're going to give it to the small one.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah,
give, well done,
yeah.
well done.
And it's crazy and it's sort of aloof and we quite like that. Let's be different.
Exactly.
I think I've kind of
We both enjoyed it, but didn't come out of it like wanting to shout and scream about it. Again, I could have been overhyped. I still prefer their other film, Swiss Army Man. It's weirder, and I
Prefer
think
what, sorry?
the Daniel's other film.
Got it, right.
Have you seen it, Swiss
No.
Army Man? Oh, I really recommend
Daniel
it. I'm kind of
Fran-
like one of the few people who like keeps mentioning it every time, everywhere as well.
Okay.
It's mentioned. It's weird. It's just two actors, Daniel Radcliffe and
Radcliffe
Paul.
right?
Yeah. But weirdly, I think it just really works.
All
It
right.
becomes a really interesting story and a warning about, well, it's about life really and love.
It's
but
about life.
I thought it was brilliant and it really moved me. But
Okay.
in a really silly way.
All right, I'll
And
maybe
I'm
give
like,
that a
"Ooh,
go then."
Everything Everywhere didn't have the same reaction
Yeah.
to me as Swiss Army Man did, but I don't know many people who love it.
So, I'm not a fan of Everything Everywhere. I don't know how much of that is due to the fact that I saw it at the Rio Cinema in Dalston on the hottest day of the year. I think it was 39 degrees.
Yeah.
And I was deliberately trying to pick a cinema with aircon, and they told me over the phone that they had aircon, and they did not.
Oh.
And not only that,
That is
but
tough.
in my my heat stroke state, I had a 20-minute sleep in the middle of the film. I think my body was just trying to recover.
And there's a
I don't
lot
know
going
what-
on. It's almost too much to focus
Too
on.
much going on.
Isn't it amazing how if you watch a film and you're too hot, right, that will always stick with you. So
Yes.
I remember I watched Iron Man 3 and the air conditioning was broken and we were all boiling hot. And to this
And it
day,
affects your opinion.
when anyone says Iron Man 3, I just say, God, yeah, I was hot that
Do you
day.
know,
and I've rewatched it since, but it doesn't matter. I was burning up in that movie.
That is also I can see why that stuck with you because it's a very sweaty film because
It is sweaty.
they're in the where are they again?
They're
in
all
the,
over.
There's Ben Kingsley.
And it's also a Christmas movie.
Yeah. I'm not saying Ben Kingsley's sweaty by the way, but they are in a cabin somewhere.
And our experience of Kinds of Kindness.
Oh my
The
God.
Curzon Mayfair, which has no aircon, and again, similarly, Fred, it was like in the 30s.
The Curzon Mayfair's
I can feel the fabric of the seat sticking to my back through the sweat of my shirt.
That was a survival situation. I remember looking at George. George was like dead, just trying to keep himself cool.
Recent one for me.
The film fucking sucked.
Yes.
There was no respite from
and
my own
it really
heat.
stays with you. You're right. Recent one for me. Testament of Anne Lee. Were you hot in that?
Yeah, I was hot in that.
so
I was
hot in
wearing a
that. And
jumper,
it's not. It never happens to films that it's okay for. Like if it happened in June, I'd be like, it's 40x. But like,
you know when they're doing all the breathing.
Yeah.
I had this really bad habit where I was breathing with them, and I was like, "No, James, you're gonna get hot."
yeah, right. No, that's so true.
and then
we go
after
to-
this,
yeah.
So after this, we have Oppenheimer. right?
Yes. Sorry. Note on the previous year. I just wanted to say, Top Gun Maverick. I think has like been heralded since then as like an absolute great. I think
Yes.
a
Yeah.
blockbuster cinema.
One of the best legacy sequels too.
Probably wasn't really in the conversation. I think that was more of a token nomination.
And I never expected to
No.
love it as much as I
No.
did. It's brilliant.
That's all I wanted to say. And then next year, we have the
Yeah.
Oppenheimer year.
And again, as we said with Slumdog, the clear winner that year, it was the runaway year, and deservedly so. It was the biggest film in terms of box office, critical darling, award sweeps. It deserved it. It got it. Well done, Nolan. You're now at the peak of your powers.
Yeah.
It's great.
You made it. Sorry for Interstellar. Sorry for Dark Knight. Inception didn't quite make it. Dunkirk didn't quite make it. Like he had really earned his Oscar stripes.
Yeah.
And I think because he'd come through the prism of a blockbuster cinema, or at least that's what it was presenting as. I think Christopher Nolan would say different. I think it took him a while, even though he was getting nominated, it took him a while to like really get
Gain
under the
respect.
wing,
Yeah.
and for the cohort to be like, yeah, okay, you're one of us. And now he's the He's the director of the Directors Guild of America.
Yes.
Would you call it the director?
The director of the Directors
Is he
Guild.
the director of that though?
Famously, he's the director.
He's the
directors.
director of directors.
He's the D of the DODGA.
Yeah, and he's like the mouthpiece for all the like AI stuff. So like he is now tippity top. We all love you, Nolan. You're our god.
And
this was the moment.
lots of great narratives going around that for all of its other wins, which contributes to Best Picture. So you have Cillian Murphy in his first major fronting role, had been known and very highly regarded and used by Christopher Nolan for a very long time. And everyone kind of knew Cillian Murphy, whether you were Peaky Blinders or you were like 28 Days Later or you were just like loving him as Scarecrow. He fronts the biggest movie of the year, gives a career best performance in one of the best films of the year. You've got Robert Downey Jr. as well, who's been the biggest actor in the biggest franchise of all time ever, arguably, leading it, then breaking off and doing an amazing supporting role, but doing something you've never seen him do before. And it's like, oh, you kind of want to award this person for being front and center, but for something you probably wouldn't get an award for.
Yes.
Here's now your award for doing the artistic film, which really works.
And also, you're right to remind us about Robert Downey Jr. because do you know, guys, how rare it is for nowadays for it to be like the same film wins Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actor.
To get screenplay? Just original screenplay?
Would have probably got adapted based off the
American
thing,
Prometheus.
isn't it?
What are the like big five? Because I always remember when we were younger, the fact was that Silence of the Lambs was the last one to win the big five, which is editing, actor, actress, picture.
It's a lot of
Director.
acting.
I thought it was acting, actor, Best Picture, Director. Or is it editor?
I think it's editing
cinematography.
because Oscar prognosticators say that like editing is really informative of what's going to win picture.
Right.
It's like whatever wins editing wins picture.
Okay.
So I think that's why they call it the big five. Anyway, I think Oppenheimer did that, and
just not Best Actress.
Just not best
because Nolan
Doesn't
hates
like
it.
it.
it's just not interesting. And it was similar to what we just said about 1917. I think it's just because it hits every touch point of what the Oscars are looking for.
Yeah.
Important topic. It's a war movie. Also, it's biopic. So, like, the fact that Cillian Murphy is winning the Oscar, it's not a coincidence that it's for a performance of a real person because they fucking love that.
They do.
We had Rami Malek winning a few years before that for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Also, the film works really well for cinephiles and for a mainstream audience. It's World War II, it's nuclear bomb, it's relevant to everyone as a story everyone loves to revisit, but also has a genuine credit.
And it's
to
got
people
narratives in it because we've got the Downey Jr. narrative, like, oh, he's come back from the brink and now we're finally giving him his award. It's got the Nolan narrative. It's got the saving cinema narrative because of Barbenheimer.
Go and see it on the big screen.
It had everything. There was no way it wasn't going to win. And looking at the other options, I think like people were maybe saying Zone of Interest might have a chance. Poor Things might have had a chance.
I'm just going to read your
I think
notes.
Zone of Interest is
They're all good movies,
Zone
to
of
be fair.
Interest is one of the best films I saw that year. Something about it isn't a Best Picture film.
No,
do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
I
I
know
think
exactly
it's
what you
phenomenal. I think I love that it's nominated and therefore is seen by more people.
Yeah.
It is like we've talked about it. It's like it's almost like it doesn't feel like a film.
I think it's because I can imagine me watching it in history class if I was in year 10.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's very good
the
at
word
that.
I use, it's a study of complicity.
Yeah.
It's like an intellectual piece that's narrativized and performed. Again, one of the weirdest IMAX screenings we've ever done.
Yeah, very weird.
Did you have any
No
thoughts?
thoughts. No, we have to move on.
No thoughts. So then we have 2024.
Last year's ceremony, but
Oh yeah, most recent
Most
win
recent
that
win.
we know of is Anora. And we know the nominees, The Brutalist, we had Doom Part 2, The Substance, Wicked, Emilia Perez.
So I think so read them out again because I think there are lots of films that could have won Best Picture.
The
on that.
Brutalist.
No, but I really
A
liked
complete.
it.
The Brutalist could have won
It
that.
did have a lot of momentum
yes,
behind
but
it.
I'm talking about sort of a public opinion thing.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
unapproachable.
A complete
I loved it.
unknown, I think, had a bit of juice behind it because the Timmy juice.
That for me was the safe one. That
This
was
is
like
Timmy
if they-
warming us up.
Yeah.
That was the Bohemian Rhapsody.
That was me. Yeah, if they wanted to play it safe, they go for
Yes.
complete unknown.
Yeah, we had Conclave had a bit of drive behind it.
Conclave
that
really,
good momentum.
Really
Conclave
did.
was brilliant.
Won the
fun.
best-
I really liked
Won the
Conclave.
BAFTA award as well.
And a classic Oscar movie as well. You
Yeah.
could see that just being like, do you know what? Let's just give it to
Yeah,
Conclave
yeah,
because
watch
Anora
that,
is
yeah.
just too risque. June Part 2.
Should it have won? Because it was our people's vote for the biggest film of the decade.
While George is ruminating, I'm going to say that I genuinely think what has held that back from winning is a confusion over the arc of the project in a sense that Return of the King, we knew we were going to give it to that. And I think there was a sense of, are we going to do June Messiah? We sort of know that that's in the ether to do. Are we sort of saving this? Or are we giving it to it now? And I also, are we sure about Denis Villeneuve because we haven't given him anything before? And if we haven't done that, are we going to do it for this? Like a blockbuster movie? I think there was too much like, I'm not sure about it.
It's like the Academy says, we don't want to give it to a franchise that's still alive until the next film comes out and it embarrasses our decision.
Exactly.
We don't want to give it to a franchise that Dune Part 3 comes out and stinks and everyone goes, you gave it to Dune Part 2.
For example, we all really liked Wicked. If Wicked Part 2 was as good as Part 1, which is never going to happen because of the second half of that musical, I think that would have had a chance to win.
Yeah,
because it's you did
Wicked
it.
had momentum.
Yeah.
Like the feeling in the cinema on the day and the wider audience that Wicked was reaching. It's like the same question about like Wicked felt almost, not financially, but like almost like the Avatar of the year, the Avengers Endgame of the year. I was this is that movie.
But the funny thing about last year was that Emilia Perez was the front runner against everyone's better judgment.
I forgot.
Netflix had just put all of their eggs in one basket, and it was absolutely just seemed to be working. They were lobbying and paying for that Oscar, putting all the money behind it they could do. And then it was really only in the 3 weeks beforehand when like the tweets came out from Carla Sofia Gascon, and that kind of just cracked it. And then Anora was able to slip through. And you know what? I think I'm happy with it because we all like Anora here.
Yeah, loved it.
And I think that movie, it's slightly more, it's still got the risqueness that Emilia Perez had. But also Sean Baker had been, I think maybe Tangerine had been nominated, or the Florida Project had been nominated before.
Yeah.
So he was kind of known to the Academy.
It really raises him up and escalates him and champions this director. He's been doing brilliant work of the last like 3, 4, 5 films. And now you go, what's Sean Baker's next thing?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm glad they went for Anora in the end. They didn't pivot and go to the Brutalist. They went, no, we'll give it to Sean Baker. And I thought, and sorry, crucially, they gave it to Mikey Madison, which was like unheard of to give it to a new actor instead of giving it to Demi Moore for the substance.
You're so right. And like, this is the shift that's occurred since even like Green Book, that if Emilia Perez had won, that would have been a Green Book-esque win. Almost like virtue signaling about transgenderism and in the completely the wrong way. And they give it to Anora because now the Oscars are in a completely new place now where I think they have the confidence to give it to Anora. And you're right, the tweets came out. Yes. And even the Brutalist AI. Do you remember the AI thing about the Brutalist? That was to take down the Brutalist.
Also, it's like if Emilia Perez would have won, it would have been like the Oscars had parodied themselves. So in the same way that Green Book is like a parody win of the old Driving Miss Daisy, prestigious kind of movies that used to win Oscars, it's like Emilia Perez would have been a parody of all of the edgier winners that we've gone through in the past 7 to 8 years. They would have gone too far. But I'm glad that Anora picked it up in the end.
You're so right. Wow.
Those be the years.
What a journey.
What a journey. What you just gone through a journey.
I really do like movies.
I'm like, it's me.
Oh, you really went in there.
It's been 22 years.
So we've given our general thoughts over the winners. We've given very deep thoughts on each individual winner.
We've been quite fair. I'll say to all of us.
And I think we've given some good context on the discourse of the journey of Oscar wins. And so now I think is the time for us to deliberate. What is the best picture winner of the 21st century? And I'd like us to define what we think about that. I'm going to give what I think that means. Yeah. You guys tell me if you have a different opinion.
Yeah.
I think that means what represents what we want Best Picture to represent. I don't think for me this means what is my favorite film that won. I think it means like the Best Picture. What does that mean? What do we want Hollywood to award as like this represents us for this year? And I think we've seen from 2000 to now that has actually changed quite a lot what that means. And I think it's almost about defining like what is that for us.
So I'll just go ahead and say I do think it's Parasite. And the reason I think that is everything you're just saying about what do we want from a Best Picture winner. Well, it's the Academy throwing their weight behind a movie that not a lot of people on the home turf may have seen. It's a South Korean movie. It's a movie that, they're throwing their weight behind. But it's also a movie that's very bloody good. So it's not obscure like The Artist or something sort of niche and
still has like universal themes as well.
Yeah, it has universal themes. And it by picking Parasite, it did encourage people to go and see it.
Yeah.
Like obviously us three, we were always going to see it. But my memory of going to see that at the cinema was the cinema screen was packed. And it was packed for people because it had been given all this exposure, it had won Best Picture. And everyone sat in complete silence because you had to concentrate because it was subtitles. And everyone had a good time. So I'm like, it recognizes a great movie and it promotes a great movie and it brings a great movie to people who may not have seen it otherwise.
Yeah,
Go
well,
on, you go. I'm basically the same, but I'll go for another one. 'cause I agree.
I'm going for another one. I do agree with what you're saying. I think what is in like Parasite's favor and a few other movies' favor is the fact that it's one of the years where it actually got it right.
Yes.
Right. So, for example, I think you could have an argument to say No Country for Old Men is one of the best picture winners, but it's in the back of my mind that I just feel like it's still got it wrong, even as incredible as it was, because of There'll Be Blood. And for me, the years where it got it right are Parasite, Anora, and Gladiator are the three key years for me. Gladiator for me is like a universally pretty much loved movie.
The blockbuster, big blockbuster win, isn't it?
It's sort of like jockeys the respected artful movie, but then also blockbuster commercial success. For me, Gladiator, in a similar but more so to Oppenheimer way, represents like what I think the best picture means in a classical Hollywood sense, and I like that. But I completely understand the Parasite.
And Gladiator, represents, I think, where it represents the films that are probably missing from this list. Like we said before, like should there be Avatar represented here? Should you have an Avengers project, for example? Should Dune be represented here? Because if you ask people on the street, I'd say they would say those are the films that define the first quarter of the century.
And I do feel like when you look at Gladiator, there's a reason why Oppenheimer emulated that scale of win, is because I only think Nolan and arguably Villeneuve with the right script is making movies like that anymore, sort of like well-respected blockbuster successes. I really love that about it, and I actually don't think we have that very much anymore.
I'll just, not to repeat myself, I'll say 12 Years a Slave, even though I agree with Parasite.
Nice.
More that like, where not only do I think it's brilliant for all the reasons I already said, when you think about like a pinnacle of cinema, of storytelling, empathy, and Stephen McQueen, I remember at the time being like, first of all, I can't believe this story's never been told before. And why aren't there anywhere near enough movies about slavery as, for example, there are about World War II or the American Revolution, things like that. And I think you want to transport people to a moment in time to make them feel something, to tell a story they never knew about a person you didn't know. And you think the very best example of that in that list for a biopic, for example, is 12 Years a Slave. But I kind of agree on the Parasite thing, to be honest.
Yeah, nice.
It's a personal favourite.
So 12 Years a Slave, Gladiator, Parasite, and I feel like actually your experience in the pub with your degree pals being like, which is the one that we are most unanimous on.
Yeah.
I'm way more on Gladiator than I am Parasite. Who here disagrees with Gladiator? Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree, but if you were to put the two together, I'd say Parasite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And 12 Years a Slave, I think I think going back to like, did it get it right that year? I think that's a year where you could imagine it went to Wolf of Wall Street, Gravity, Her, or something like that. So I guess we're giving it Parasite, guys, aren't we?
I think so.
I think we're giving it Parasite. God,
Lead it.
every conversation about movies just ends with Parasite.
It does.
That's the unfortunate
But you know
truth.
what? Imagine being Bong Joon-ho and like knowing that. That's
Perfect.
That's,
Isn't it wild?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Do you think Parasite like would be able to rank up against what am I trying to say? So Parasite is like 2019 movies.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a strong year? Do you think it won in a strong year?
Yeah,
like,
hell yeah. That's the year of Parasite won against, as we said, Irishman, Little Women, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to get some Jeopardy. There is no Jeopardy. Parasite. Parasite
You're
wins.
trying to create drama when there isn't any, Fred.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the last 25 years of the Oscars, 26 years even. We've given our verdicts, and I thought we were quite fair actually in our judgment of everything. You know, no like crazy, oh, I believe you like that ones between us.
Yeah.
But I think we should end with some movie trivia.
Yes.
Fred, I believe you've prepared something
I've prepared
for
a
us.
game in the spirit of Pulp Kitchen.
Oh, here we
Would you
go.
like to
Prepared
stand at the front of the class and tell everyone what you brought, Fred?
I'm really excited. So, as always, Fred Asquith on Kitchen ends with
Okay.
So I have compiled all the Rotten Tomatoes rankings of all the Best Picture winners. And I'd like, there's no point us trying to rank all 26. But what do you think is the best way of doing this? You just obviously guess the top one, and then should we guess the bottom one?
Okay.
Or should we
All
do
right,
top 5, bottom 5?
I'm just getting the list on.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so it goes.
Okay, so number one.
So we have, this is audience score, not critic score. That's important.
Okay.
I never read the audience score.
So the audience score is the one that comes up when you just simply Google it.
Lord of the Rings,
with the
Return of the
tomato-
King.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Return of the King.
It's not Return of the King.
Parasite.
Return of the King. Let me tell you, actually, Return of the King is number 18 with 86%.
86 for Return of the Okay, how about, is it Parasite?
It's not Parasite. Parasite is number 9 with 90%.
Everything Ever All at Once.
It is not. That is all the way down at 15
Gladiator.
with 88%. It's not Gladiator. That is
Moonlight.
Where the fuck is Gladiator? I don't know. Moonlight is... Where the hell is
just really
Moonlight?
surprised
Moonlight
me
is
then.
number 23 with 79%. So we're talking audience score here. So let's take a breath.
Slumdog Millionaire.
No, let's take a beat, right? Let's have a think about this. Audience score. What's a movie that is just like
Green
Book? Do you know what? Where is Green Book? It's number 7. You see, this is the point. Wow. So we really have to be. You got to be
This is
dialing into like
really
what
good.
the
Okay, so it's
dumb
not going to
people
be
think.
Anora, is it? It's going to be
It's not Anora. You got to be dialing into audience score, like a real sort of dumb take.
12 Years a
basically.
Slave isn't there, is it?
It's not. That is number 11.
it's
Should
not.
be number 12.
Is it Slumdog?
It's not Slumdog.
Gladiator?
No, I said that.
No,
Yeah, you said that.
I think I fucked up. Gladiator is here. Number 16, 87%.
Wow.
Right,
King's
Slumdog's
Speech?
13.
Hey, what's-
King's Speech is number 5, though. This is what I mean. So the less
Wow.
likely ones are sort of... The thing is, if I'm to give you any pointer, number 1 is one that you guys will absolutely unambiguously love. But I also think it's extremely crowd-pleasing as well.
I'm completely lost.
I can't even... Is it Moonlight?
No,
it's-
Moonlight's
it's
down
not.
at 23.
20.
Crowd-pleasing.
Give us a clue, Fred. Come on, give us a clue.
Oppenheimer.
It's not Oppenheimer. Clue's difficult.
I'm completely lost on what it is. Chicago.
This was a long-awaited Best Picture win for this.
Departed.
Yes,
That's number 1.
94%.
Wow. I love it. I don't know why I'm surprised that has the highest audience score.
And but I mean, this is where what we're playing with here. Number 2 is A Beautiful Mind
Oh, yeah. Right, which
with
you don't like.
93%. Yeah, which I don't like. Spotlight, King's Speech, Oppenheimer. That's your top 5.
That is interesting data.
It's unfortunate data, isn't it? The absolute bottom movie. Now, I think you do know this. The bottom 2, actually, you'll be able to get in a few guesses.
Is it Green Book?
The
No,
Artist.
because Green Book's
The
quite
Artist,
light,
The
isn't it?
Artist.
No, actually, have I fucked up? Oh no, The Artist is number 17.
Crash.
No, Crash is quite high up.
$1 Million Baby.
No, $1 Million Baby is number 12.
Hurt Locker.
No. Hurt Locker's number
Argo.
20. No, Argo's number 10.
Coda.
No.
Birdman.
Coda's quite high, number 8.
Birdman.
Birdman's number 24, so that's the second to
okay.
last. I don't know why it's out of 25. There should be 26. I
That's
fucked up somewhere.
Spotlight.
But no, not Spotlight. So the bottom one is one. A clue is, what's a clue for this bottom one? We said that it was a weak year and that allowed it to win, but it still wasn't really expected to win.
And it wasn't Green Book. It was,
No.
goodness.
Shape of Water.
Correct.
Yeah.
Shape of Water, 72%. Quite brutally low
Yeah, that's
quite
for a
brutally low,
Best
yeah.
Picture winner.
Yeah.
Shape of Shit.
Yeah, shit of shit. Yeah, I mean, this is all bullshit. I mean, No Country for Old Men's at number 19. Gladiator number
I've
16.
got no idea what people
I have no
like.
idea.
This is it's just terrible, isn't it?
At least sight
I
of
don't know
it.
why I even played it.
Wait, so
Terrible.
just go from the bottom and read the list all the way to the top?
Okay. I think I've missed one, by the way, because it's only out of 25. But anyway, 25 Shape of Water, 72%. Birdman, 77%. Moonlight, 79%. Nomadland, Chicago. The Hurt Locker, No Country for Old Men. Now we're 18. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. 17, The Artist. 16, Gladiator. 15, Everything Everywhere All at Once. 14, Crash. 13, Slumdog. It's like we're getting worse
If
as
you
we
had
go
just
higher.
shuffled the films, I'd have gone,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the order you put this
We're,
in.
we're getting worse now. 12 is $1 Million Baby. 11 is 12 is a Slave. Then Argo, Parasite, Coda, Green Book. It's really getting messy now. Oppenheimer. And then top 4, King's Speech, Spotlight, American Beauty is before. A Beautiful Mind and Departed.
$1 Million Baby also sounds like a fake title from a sketch. Or you know, like in Seinfeld when they go to the I was like, going to see Prognosis Negative or $1 Million Baby. That was
The Shape of Water.
And I have one final question. This is the last thing I want to ask of us all. Can we just put a prediction in, and it can't be The Odyssey or Dune Part 3 of what's going to be nominated for Best Picture next year?
Do you know what? That's hard because a lot of them we just won't know yet because they'll come out in Venice in September.
Correct. But of what we do know.
Do you think there's a chance Toy Story 5, like Toy Story 3 got nominated? Toy Story 5?
Nominated, maybe. I don't think it'll win.
No, I don't think.
I don't think it'll be nominated.
I don't think it'll be nominated.
It's not going to get
Disclosure Day, surely, right? Spielberg back again, maybe.
Yeah.
Too mainstream, is it?
I think it might be too mainstream.
Day.
I'm throwing a curveball in there for a Kit Kat. You guys have to buy me a 4-finger Kit Kat.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm setting up the bet. I'm throwing a curveball in there for a commercial nomination of Project Hail Mary.
I think so. Without having seen it or seen any review, I could see that doing well.
Yeah. I think they're going in there. What is it? Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They've been nominated before for Lego Movie, for animated. I just think if it does well,
they won for Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
they won for Spider-Verse. So if it does well, I think it can get
Gosling in space.
I wait your 4 fingers of Kit Kats this time next year, friends.
Yes. You hold on to that.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. That was our wonderful episode with Fred. Fred, thanks so much for joining. If people don't know, or they already do now, but where can they find you on everything that you do?
At Fred Asquith on Film, TikTok and Instagram. Thank you.
We hope you guys enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up on our feed and mentioning Fred in every episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope you enjoyed this very bumper but very in-depth thing. We love a big deep dive occasionally, and it's been great to have a collaborative episode. So thank you, Fred, very much.
To meticulously go through and find out exactly what we thought of every year of the Oscars.
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but we like talking about movies.
Yeah.
And you've come to the right place.
We
so
bloody
thank you
love
very
it.
much for joining us. Check out the content, check out the feed for more content. And just thank you as ever to our producers, Rachel, Loz, Dave, and Umar. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.